two chambers. Your hearts work in vertical, right? So one side.
Potholes to hiring. It all just loops back to one single problem.
The city's identity crisis. So let's start right there with the pillar that really dominated the whole conversation. Sense of community and city identity.
Okay, let's unpack this. What's the fundamental issue they're trying to solve?
The core of it was put very bluntly by one council member who described West Jordan as feeling like the world's largest bedroom community.
Wow.
Largest.
That is
said that.
that is a
One of
vivid
you.
and frankly depressing label. What does that actually mean for people living there?
It means residents wake up, they leave the city for work, they spend their money somewhere else, and then they only come back late at night.
And the council noted that this behavior directly shapes the kinds of businesses you see.
It really does. If nobody's around during the day, the only businesses that can really survive are fast food and, quick service spots, the kind of stuff bedroom communities run on.
I see. So it creates that classic catch-22. High-end restaurants or unique shops won't come because the daytime customers aren't there.
But the residents keep leaving because those amenities aren't there to keep them in the city.
So how do they break that cycle?
The sources show this. This fears determined to initiate a radical mindset shift. It's philosophical. Residents have to start feeling like they're from West Jordan. A distinct, proud identity.
Not just Salt Lake.
Exactly. Not just a suburb of Salt Lake.
That sounds like a monumental task. I mean, how do you flip the mindset of tens of thousands of people?
You have to flip the development script. So instead of waiting for population growth to justify investment, that whole "if you build it, we will come" idea,
Right.
The new mantra is "come and we will build it." It's an aggressive call to action to punch above our weight.
And part of punching above their weight is creating these immediate, recognizable identifiers. Things that tell you exactly where you are without needing a street sign.
Yeah, they want to snowball public art projects. They cited the success of the sugar beet art on the water tank as proof that this concept works.
They want their own version of an icon. Something you can immediately share online. Something memorable like the image of the big public whale in Salt Lake.
Great, gives you that immediate sense of place.
And this search for identity also means looking backwards while pushing forward. They talked about embracing the city's past, like improving the signage to recognize Gardner Village as a core part of West Jordan's heritage.
The visual goal they're aiming for is fascinating. One speaker cited the Boston model as the ideal for their downtown.
The Boston model.
Yeah, history, cobblestones and monuments right next to modern glass towers. This deliberate blending of the past, land, future.
That blending is so critical. Now, they also see major events as a huge identity builder.
Oh, absolutely. The consensus was the city needs to move beyond its current 105 small event days.
And focus on what they called big event kind of things that draw non-residents in.
We heard some great examples. The annual egg hunt was actually highlighted as a huge success.
Right, the person Joe did was faster than the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah, because it successfully pulls people in from all the surrounding areas. They're also looking at expanding the museum's offerings, maybe with a Dickens or a Pioneer Festival.
And even hosting national draws, like the Wasatch Improv Festival.
Things that attract touring performers. But my personal favorite was the idea of creating a disco soccer game.
I saw that. I mean, it's completely out of the box, but it shows they're aiming for novelty. Something unique that gets people talking and gets them to drive to West Jordan.
And of course, when you talk about unique identifiers, you have to talk about the city's current closest one.
Rodeo grounds.
The rodeo grounds.
And this dilemma is fascinating because it's a legacy structure. The stands are uncomfortable, they're decades old, they were moved from the old location.
Right, and the council felt strong that fixing them up isn't enough. They have to think much, much bigger.
And the big idea, which the mayor and others promoted, is to enclose the arena entirely.
Which would transform it. I mean, it goes from a seasonal rodeo spot to a year-round enclosed destination for massive gatherings, concerts, major statewide events. A true regional draw.
Okay, but enclosing a major arena is a huge gamble, a massive event. What makes them think they can actually draw those big concerts and events?
Well, the confidence seems tied to the location and, frankly, the lack of other suitable alternatives for large year-round events in that region. But this is where the execution challenge really hits the budget.
I was going to say, how do you pay for that?
There was a real debate. Should they issue a bond? argue that future users should help pay for the construction. Or, as one council member suggested, they have to start a dedicated long-term savings account right now. Even if it's just $5,000 or $10,000 a year.
That's a really interesting point.
It's philosophical. The point was, if you never start saving, the political will to do something
just
this
there.
massive will never materialize. It just dies a slow death. This forces a long-term commitment.
That tension between, immediate action and sustainable slow change is the perfect bridge to our next pillar.
Yeah.
If identity is the problem, economic development is the prescription.
Absolutely. One council member's goal for 2026 was a single word:
Which was,
execute. And this applies most strongly to that decades in the making downtown vision.
downtown. It's the top priority, and the notes show that after years of talk and apparently 8 different design approaches, the goal for 2026 is tangible. A committed developer, a site plan, something signed.
And the scale is just staggering. We're talking about a vision that stretches from City Hall all the way to Gardner Village. It's a huge area,
One speaker said this isn't about infill, it's a raise and rebuild approach.
which includes the massive undertaking of relocating the Jordan School District property, which has just sat there stagnant for 8 years, blocking development.
Wow, that kind of unified vision. What are they looking for aesthetically? You can't just build another beige shopping center.
No, and that's critical. The design has to be unique enough to become an identifier itself. Something that doesn't look like it was spit out by an AI program.
And they cited a pretty unexpected inspiration.
The Portofino Hotel,
That is unexpected. Tell us more about that.
it's about creating a strollable, contained environment. The Portofino feels like a village, not a city block. It has these little amphitheaters, hidden plazas, winding paths. The goal is to make you want to just linger and explore.
Creating that vibrant community feel they lack.
Exactly, and that attention to detail is crucial, especially when they talk about shifting their retail strategy. They noted that the current traditional development, like another big box store, is what they call cruise control.
And the problem with cruise control is that it often it cannibalizes the existing local businesses.
Yeah.
A new Home Depot just hurts the local Lowe's.
Right, it doesn't actually increase the overall sales tax revenue. You're just shifting where residents buy their stuff, not bringing new money into this.
So they need to focus on businesses that attract external traffic,
Yeah.
what they're calling non-rooftop dependent businesses,
And they have 2 specific high impact ideas. First, the container park.
like the one in Las Vegas.
Exactly like that. A small mall built from shipping containers. It would house local boutiques, food trucks, all surrounding a central stage and playground.
That's smart. It gives small businesses an affordable entry point, and it's all about creating an experience that draws people.
And it only needs a site and a parking lot, not a dense neighborhood around it. The second idea, maybe more powerful for revenue, is aggressively pursuing automobile dealerships.
Dealerships. Why dealerships?
High sales tax revenue. Dealerships specifically pull customers in from outside the city, regardless of how many people live nearby. You'll drive 30 miles for the right car, right?
True.
And that means all that sales tax is generated from external dollars, which directly addresses their core economic problem.
Which all ties back to that daytime customer gap we mentioned at the start.
It does. The lack of daytime customers is the barrier high-end restaurants always cite for avoiding West Jordan. So the council recognized before that new retail can thrive, they absolutely have to attract high-paying jobs into the city, especially in the Southwest Quadrant.
You have to have a local workforce to support that future retail.
You do.
Okay, so all these big dreams about downtown are, future oriented, but what are they doing for the people living in the city right now? Which brings us to the resident focused and city aesthetics pillars.
Roads. It's a huge perennial complaint, especially on the older east side.
And one council member used a great visual analogy from the Disney movie Cars.
Right, you're driving down a smooth road and then suddenly you hit the city boundary and the road just instantly turns bumpy and broken. It highlights that disparity between the old and new areas.
And beyond just pavement, walkability and bikeability were flagged as crucial safety issues.
Yeah, one council member even said they stopped biking outdoors after nearly being hit twice. So improving sidewalks and bike lanes is a safety measure.
Operationally,
Did you fill the
the
bike?
mayor's prioritizing.
Did you fill your bike?
The return
No,
communication to
I was
residents
running.
about
Oh,
service
Yeah,
requests.
someone.
Oh, right.
Right, whether it's a
Three
dog
left, I was
barking
crossing
or
the
a
crosswalk
tree
and
branch. The
Well,
challenge
actually,
is
they
finding a
did
way to
get there.
actually
I
follow up.
pushed myself on the
Because there are
crosswalk,
legal
so
limits on
it
what you
was
can
really-
share about, say, an ongoing court case.
Closing that communication loop is something government really struggles with, so it's a big priority.
It is.
Let's look at the aesthetic side, city code. Staff are being pushed to simplify it dramatically. The notes literally say the goal is to delete.
It's a smart move. The current code is so complex, it can numb even the council members trying to read it. Simplifying it means fewer roadblocks for businesses and clearer rules for homeowners.
But simplification needs enforceability. And the sources noted some gaps there, like with dilapidated industrial areas or residential fire hazards from overgrown weeds.
Yes, but here we saw a really practical solution. Instead of just, writing more tickets, they discussed creating a volunteer program to help seniors who can't maintain their yards.
So you're addressing the hazard while also supporting vulnerable residents. It's community action, not just citations. Finally, let's turn to the pillar of employee satisfaction and internal efficiency. This is essential to making all these massive plans actually happen.
The city is leaning hard into technology, specifically AI, to help stabilize the budget. The sources noted that one employee's effective use of personal AI is fulfilling roles that would normally require hiring several more staff members.
So the focus isn't on AI replacing jobs, but on using tech to fill needs that would otherwise mean a huge jump in payroll costs.
It makes the city more effective without escalating costs. And they also emphasized cross-departmental efficiency, like sharing computer programs and cross-training staff.
And internally, the council is focused on its own cohesion, using the yes and principle from improv comedy to build on ideas.
And trying to make decisions that are best for the city long-term, not just what looks good for the next re-election cycle.
So what does this all mean for you, the resident, the business owner, or just an interested observer?
It seems the council's priorities across all 5 pillars really boil down to 2 core actions. Define a single, vibrant identity, and then aggressively execute on the big ideas they've been debating for years.
The philosophical driver behind the whole budget discussion, from roads to the roading ground, is this idea of ensuring residents are never in line behind one cashier.
Right. If any service needs improvement, the city must find a way to fund the necessary lanes or capacity, even if it means raising the budget to get bigger things done.
It's a very aggressive, growth-oriented philosophy. That leads us to the final provocative thought.
Because building a massive new downtown, including a rodeo arena, and shifting a city's fundamental identity, that is not a short-term process.
So it takes extraordinary, unified, long-term leadership. Council members themselves discussed the example of Carmel, Indiana. Their mayor served 6 or 7 terms.
And oversaw a decades-long project where the city actually took over control of state roads just so they could implement comprehensive roundabouts across the entire city.
That was a massive, expensive project that required a sustained 20-year vision.
So if West Jordan is serious about flipping the script from a bedroom community to a statewide destination, how must the city, and crucially its residents, begin to think about the permanence and the decades-long timeline required for these critical decisions to finally bear fruit?
Requires a level of patience and unified support that is pretty rare in modern politics. Something definitely worth mulling over.
Indeed. We look forward to diving deeper into what comes next.
Thanks for joining us for the deep dive. We'll catch you next time.
I can't wait to hear what they came up with. Alan, that was great, thank you. That's a great idea, just,
Is that all free AI stuff? Who does that?
that was.
Just, that cost $100 million in electricity.
Yeah.
I used,
And 17 cities are now going without water
Yeah,
completely.
that's 5 acres of water.
Obviously, it's AI, it didn't have everything right, it talked, the sugar beet on the water tank and a couple other things. But it was kind of interesting to take individual comments from A to Q and let AI come up with very believable podcast. I mean, if this went to Carmel, Indiana, or Boston, well, West Jordan's got a lot of stuff, even the sugar beet on the water tank, it's got an exciting thing. But I think what I listened to, what I heard was like vision, like let's talk about earlier, you talked about earlier, 1 year, 3 year, 5 year. Where is West Jordan headed, and laying that groundwork using the 5 pillars. So I'm not going to show you how to do Notebook LM, but it's a Google product. You can upload, so I've done some samples. I've uploaded when the council had been, here's what I tested it with months ago. when the council had the discussion on council compensation over several committee of the whole work sessions, you remember last year? I uploaded all of those approved minutes into this. And so it's minutes with all the topics, and I just said, focus on council compensation. They created about a 10-minute podcast on council compensation, how long it took, and all those kind of things. This was just audio file, but if you do audio files, Word documents, PDFs, you just upload them as sources. You don't have to tell it anything. You can leave it at that, and generate. But it has options to make slide decks. It has options to do a quiz like in school, to create reports you want to turn in, which I would recommend. But you might get a sugar beet on a water tank in your report. It's accurate. Infographics, flashcards for kids. And you can customize it, make flashcards for your 3-year-old. But the thing that I've done with it primarily is just create podcasts. And those are not real people. It's a computer creating
What?
words.
So-
Hired actors.
It's 2 kids,
I
actually.
think people would listen to our council meeting more in that form of.
I'm thinking that's
Do that.
it. I'd be interested to see what it's like. Here's a recap of the council.
As long as we say AI generated. Because if
Yeah.
they say something you didn't
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
Can you send that out to us?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I'll have to do it as a link because the audio file
Yeah.
is too big to add as an email, but I can. put
Make
it
sure
in.
Adam has that. I think it'll be a good lobbying tool.
Wow, look what West Jordan's doing.
I live on Notebook LM.
Yeah.
Wow. I've never used Notebook LM, but we do a big roundtable at the Wasatch Improv Festival. Where everyone talks about the problems in improv. And so I'm gonna record it, do the same thing. It's pretty cool. Alan, thank you.
You're welcome. So it's 8:30
Mhm.
and I think, Warren, are we recording? We are, okay, so.
Thank you.
Okay, let's get to this. Do I need a flickery thing? Well, everyone, I want to thank you for yesterday. It was great. I think we had a lot of good conversation. And what I loved most was it was in building. There wasn't a lot of, that'll never happen. And there's sometimes we even think that'll never happen. But when we talk about things, and especially when talking to each other, a lot of positivity about, things and how that could maybe happen. That is really how I try very desperately to live my life in all aspects. And excuse me. And last night, those of you that saw the improv show, I wanted you to see that not just because it's funny, and I wanted you to see that I have some funny, talented friends, but I wanted you to kind of see how a team works. If you think about what happened last night with improv, they had no idea what a scene was going to be about. They had no idea about anything. It was just given a suggestion, and I've got to entertain 30 or 4 faces that are looking back at me. And the way we're able to do that is depending upon each other. And it's about building on things. And it's really surprising in comedy improv, one of our biggest rules, and we won't talk about it here, but is really not to try to be funny. Because if you're trying to be funny, you're not being real, you're not being grounded. So just the comedy will come because we're doing ridiculous things in a very normal setting. No one's trying to be funny. But I wanted to really let you see that. So as I talk about the things we're going to talk about here, you'll have a point of reference to go, oh, last night I saw that they did that. And what I want to do is put the stuff that we do in this weird world of improv comedy and how it relates to business, teams, individuals, everything. So make yes happen. I'll tell you real quickly. I was in a meeting. It was a big town hall for our company. It's a global Symantec, a global company. We were doing a town hall, and the CEO is there, and I handled all of the AV and stuff for the company. So I'm right near the front, making sure everything works, and he's talking about brand and you've got to have a brand, and you've got to, he's, talking about, we should all have our own brand. And he looks at me and he goes, what's your brand? And I went, I make yes happen. And I'm gonna be honest, I instantly went, oh man, that's cool. That was, and he goes, well, what does that mean? And I said, well, at this company, people come to me all the time and they say, I need a video. And I go, great, that's what I do for this company. Thanks for coming to me. And I go, okay, I'll have a video. And they show me a video and I go, I want it to be like this. And I can look at that and think, that's a $300,000 video. Yes, I'm so excited. I rarely get to do this kind of big thing. And I'm going, yeah, I'm on it. Let's do this. And they go, my budget's $5,000. I cannot make a $300,000 video for $5,000. But, and that would be easy to go, well, I can't do that. But what I'd say is go, okay, we'll do it. And I have to find a way to make that video happen. So what I have to do is I have to find the real yes that's needed. I have to look at it and go, you don't need a $300,000 video. You need to supply a message. What's the message you need to put across? Well, it's this. I can do that for $5,000. I can't do that. So it's about finding the real yes. So with that in mind, I'll start with the reason for no. Why do we say no?
It's easy.
What?
It's easy.
It's easy.
It has 2 words.
What's that?
It only has 2 letters instead of.
Yeah. Still one syllable.
Sometimes we say no because we are, no right word to use here, like, we're told that if you say no, that'll make things better. Like, if you say yes to this and allow this to happen, it'll make my life worse. I've seen that a lot this past years, citizens that go, I don't want that. If you say yes, you're a horrible person. Yep. Well, wait a minute. Like, let's look at all sides, not just say no.
Fear of the unknown.
Fear of the unknown.
Yeah.
Yeah. These are all, there are several different answers why we say no. And sometimes I'm gonna tell you, I have to tell people, I do say no at times. And there are things you should say no to. The mayor wore his dare tie yesterday. Yeah, there are things you say no to. But oftentimes we say no, and here's the thing that I want you to think about sometimes, and often do we do this? We say no to things because we want our idea to succeed. But we'll say no to others' ideas so that our idea can move forward.
Sounds like you're saying, sometimes we have a mental default to a zero-sum game instead of a growing
Right.
mindset.
So that's the main thing. So no is something we do all the time. And we say all the time. So what I want to do is I want to get us into the mindset of thinking yes, at least first before we get there. So I need a volunteer for something really quick. This will be one of the simplest things. If you were at the show last night, I make volunteers do things and it's fun. These are all going to be fun. I'm going to need volunteers for a couple things today. This one, probably the easiest of all of them. All right, Ken, thank you. So thank you for saying yes right away. Right, Ken, just stay right there. Just stay right there, Ken. Okay, so okay, let's go back over there closer to the end over there. Perfect. All right, wow, that's one. All right. All I need you to do, Kent, is walk to me.
I'm trying to be funny.
Where's HR?
We're not supposed to try.
All right, so here's what I want you to do now. I want you to walk back to where you were, but differently than you did the time before. Added more swagger. Cool. Perfect. All right, now what I'm gonna need you to do is I need you to come up with 1,000,000 different ways to walk back and forth. That's something you can do.
Very difficult. We can't get to it. 1,000,000 different ways.
And remember, I'm trying to say this is about making yes happen.
Maybe just the nature of my humanity would make each time different just by the mere fact of that. So.
I love that. What would be a response? Because we get requests like this all the time. Stupid requests that make no sense and are very, very absurdly difficult. And why do we say no? Does any of us want to think of 1,000,000 different ways to do this? Well, saying yes, if I said you had to say yes right now, your very life depended on you coming up with 1,000,000 different ways,
Figure it out.
you'd figure it out. And this is what yes does. So thank you, Ken. We're gonna talk about that in a minute. saying yes makes you figure it out, because now you're responsible. And you're responsible until you can no longer come up with something. Let me tell you, when I talk about this, and I'll tell people a million different ways, I'll go, okay, I just want you to think about this. 1 million is a huge number. And that's the part that scares us, the part of unknown. That's too many. And if I said, well, you could do it, whatever you come up with, you can do it with your eyes open, your eyes closed. We're down to 500,000 without even having to come up with the various ways. One walk, and then with your eyes closed. And if you just close your eyes on all of them, I said, one eye open, one eye closed, the other eye open, the other eye closed, one arm up, whatever you're doing, one arm down, one back. All I'm doing, and like you were saying, just humanity will make things a little differently. You can, within just a few of those little examples I gave you, chop it down to where you're only having to come up with a couple thousand different ways. That's way different than the million. It's about trying to figure out what the real answer is. The real answer wasn't, I need 1 million very distinctly different things. I need 1 million different ways. And what can you do within that? So what we do when we think yes first is we now think, all right, how can I do this? What is the yes? And what are we going to get to the end game on this? Does anyone know who this guy is?
Samuel P. Langley.
Oh, yeah, good. Okay, good. This is one of the best examples ever of a no philosophy killing a project. This guy here is a hero to the no world. We don't know who he is, although at a time he was one of the most recognizable names in media. Not that we had big media back then, but everything this man did got all the funding from the government it needed. It got press all over him to just go, what's happening? What's going on? What's this? But what he's got right here, you guys know who the Wright brothers are, right?
Right.
At the same time, America said, we want to fly. We want flight. They gave this man everything he could ask for. Everything. And he kept saying, this is stupid. We aren't going to be able to have long flights. We'll never have it. They just kept giving him more money and giving him all the people he could need, all the resources he could need. I don't even know, they built the weird barge and he did things, but constantly, and every time the press would talk to him, he'd go, we're working on it, but nah, I just don't get your hopes up. He was constantly a no guy. Two guys that ran a bicycle factory, because I think we can do this. They had the yes mentality. No one was following them. They didn't have resources. But what they had was the responsibility they put on themselves to, I'm going to make this happen and I'm going to find the yes. This man, the minute news about the Wright brothers flight came out, he went, oh, well, all right, I guess they did it. All right, we can shut down now. And didn't even try to go, wow, I've got the best minds in the world. Let's make this better. He just went, well, all right, we gave it a try. Yay to those guys. And what's my next project? History has no idea who Samuel P. Langley is, unless you look for him. But he is one of the most obvious no people I have ever met. I don't do a lot of quotes because I don't really like people's quotes because they meant something to them, but I like this one. The world is moving so fast these days, the man who says it can't be done is generally interrupted by somebody doing it. That someone said, yeah, let's give it a shot. Let's see if we can figure it out. All right, so the power of yes. The power of yes can change your life. I have spent my life going, yeah, sure, I'll give it a try. Even in running for council, I had no idea what I was doing. But I talked about it to my wife so many times that literally she said, you can go declare your candidacy or stop talking about it. You've got your choice. So I was in Tangi's office the next morning. And like I told some of you, when she asked what district are you in, what? I don't know, but I just wanted to run. Well, you gotta be in a district. Well, okay. Here's an interesting one. This job here I had for a little while. I got a call one day saying, hey, this is Alana Brophy. I'm the chief meteorologist at ABC4. Have you ever thought about doing the weather? And I no, I've never thought about doing the weather. Never in my life have I ever thought about being a weatherman. She goes, well, we are in desperate need. And someone said they thought you were a person who could do this. And I went, well, if someone thought I could do it, I should probably give it a try. So I went in and talked to them. 9 days after that phone conversation, I was doing this in a room with just a big green screen and a clicker in my hand and trying to not look like I have no idea what weather is and making it happen. And I ended up doing that for a year and a half, and I literally thought, man, this is fun. I'm gonna keep doing this for a long time, until the news director came in and said, you are not a meteorologist. I don't want you on the air anymore. I went, "Oh."
Matt, I'll say, what's your?
Because I wasn't on the council at the time.
He wasn't the producer, he was the talent.
No, I was also I had everything that goes on behind the weather.
I was trying to help,
No.
you.
No. I'm saying, here's the weird thing, the news, everything they're doing, they've got teleprompters, everything going on, and there's producers all talking and helping them and doing everything, and all they've really got to do is read the news. We have to come up with everything that goes on behind us. We create all the graphics. We have to, forecast weather. We have to put it all together. And then the whole time I'm talking and I'm told I've got 3.5 minutes, there's no teleprompter. It's just me, more just like, what does that slide say? Okay, I'm going to talk to that. Okay, I'm going to talk to that. The whole time I'm doing that, there's someone in my ear going, okay, we're going to have to move things, Bob. You need to now cut 30 seconds off of that. I'm going to count you down. All right. Well, oh, no, hold on. We've got a thing coming. All right. Bob, you got to go in 10, 9, 8. And I'm like, oh. And they're literally in your ear loud. That freaked me out the first time. I'm like, dude, I'm just trying to, but I said yes. And then when I started doing it, I was like, oh, I've got to be better about this. I'll take my second week. One of my all-time favorite things. I was on, I said, hey, so we got a high pressure system coming in. You want to know what a high pressure system is? Because I looked it up today. Let me tell you what I found out. And I, did that. And I thought, for me, it was just kind of a funny bit. We had people emailing in going, that's the first time I understood what you guys were talking about. And, but anyway, I got to where I could, within 2 months on the job, I was now forecasting all my own weather. And I got, because they keep track of everyone's forecast, I was one of the top. One time I was the second highest rated in getting it right, but I was always in the top 5 of all of Utah. And for a guy who knew nothing, but it's because I said yes.
But you didn't have to agree.
I didn't have a degree. Yeah. And it turns out, I'm gonna be honest with you.
Good one.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that.
Telling weather is actually very easy. In fact, we're gonna tell a story right now. I need about 5 people to come up here real quick for me. Again, very simple little thing. So please, we're gonna be quick, just 5 people coming up.
Come on, who's joining me?
All right.
Come on, Chad. Come on, Chad. Come on, you can do this.
This one's another easy one. All right, and yeah, come on up. How are we gonna get? It's fine. I just said about 5. So these 6 people here are gonna tell you a story. Here's an interesting thing that they're gonna do though. They're going to tell you a story, creating a story that never existed until just now. And they're going to do it. Simple. I do this in elementary classes. So you guys are almost at that level to where you can do it. We're gonna tell the story, but we're only gonna do it one word at a time. When it's your time down the line, you're gonna add one word. When it ends up here, it'll jump back to you, and we're gonna keep going, and we're gonna tell this amazing story. So, first of all, Mayor, what's your favorite animal?
Mouse.
Mouse. All right. And, all right, and give me any occupation.
Weatherman.
Weatherman. All right, so we've got mouse and we got weatherman. That's all you 6 know about this story. But you're gonna tell us an amazing little story about mouse and weatherman. I don't know how they're all gonna collide, maybe one thing or two. That's up to you folks. I'm gonna start, I'm gonna say once upon a time, and then Annette, you'll take it from there. Or we'll go down and we're gonna tell this story. You guys ready for this incredible story? Good, here we are. Once upon a time
Disneyland.
Was,
A mouse.
was
geez,
once upon a time Disneyland was a cheese.
that was a mouse.
Well, you only had one
I
word.
only, I gave 2 words.
Mouse and thought, geez.
Okay, that's fine. So we keep going. Once upon a time Disneyland was a cheese
Bread,
bread.
mouse.
Once upon a time Disneyland was a cheese bread mouse. All right, continue on. Yep.
It
Was
wonderful.
that. Didn't,
I was gonna say smell.
there you go.
Okay. We've got 6-word sentences constantly going. Okay, once upon a time Disneyland was a cheese bread that was wonderful and didn't smell.
One
One
Of,
of
one of these
characters was.
they don't all have to end on the 6 sentence. But one of these characters was rotten. Oh, now we've got conflict and plot coming into this. Well, let's see where we go with this.
then
Squeaky.
Oh,
weather
Decided. Drive.
everyone
insane.
because
They. Thought. Rain.
would
Squeak.
into
The. Back.
Lot.
was that 6 words?
Let's see if we get to a moral ending of this story.
Luckily.
Weatherman.
And
Be. Dumb.
Stop it. Well, you're right there. Give me a little hand there. Okay. So with that, this mindset comes up of now the idea of, I have said I'm going to tell the story, but now you're a part of this team telling the story. And it's not about, I've seen this so many times where we've done something like that and someone in their mind is thinking, oh man, I'm gonna go crazy. Well, when it comes to me, I'm gonna, oh, okay, but when it comes back to me again, I've got it, and it's about being a part of the team that's telling this one story. I'm moving, and it's also about hearing something ridiculous right before you and justifying it, making it move forward, not about, all right, we have to stop right now because that's wrong. It's going. In improv, we have this thing, it's leading with yes. Yes is always what we're going with, and that's the message I want our council to really kind of take on, this lead with yes. So we have these rules of improv. A lot of people don't know that as we're doing that, mentally, we've got these rules we work on. Yes, and it just means you might have heard something you didn't like, but it's been said. It now exists in the world, and you can't say no. An example of yes and that I've been a part of. I'll take it for you. It might be like, you have a great idea for an ice cream shop story, but someone said we're in a bicycle shop. You can't go, well, this isn't a bicycle shop, it's an ice cream shop. Because now the audience is going, where are we? What's going on? What you can do is go, yeah, it's great, and they sell ice cream here.
Bicycles, ice cream.
Yeah, exactly. I went on stage one time and an actor thought it'd be funny and he goes, why do you have a duck on your head? Obviously, I did not want to do a scene with a duck on my head. And I couldn't just go, there's no duck on my head. So I said, oh, forgot I had that. Hey, listen, I need to talk to you. I acknowledged there was a duck on my head and I let the actor know we're moving on. We're always watching, always listening. In that bit, it's not about you thinking what I'm going to do. It's about watching and listening to where am I going to contribute into this. It's about trusting yourself. It's about saying something and doing something, really, because you can trust your team. Again, last night you saw examples of that. Actors just saying the weirdest things or doing the weirdest things. And they felt free to do that because they knew the others around them would continue that and not call them out. We make the team the star. When we do our improv, it's never about one person doing something. And we're going to talk about this, how it works in the business later. We pick up after each other. We move on. We move forward. We're contributing. We don't label each other. And the best thing I love about improv and about life in general is that it's okay to fail. It is okay to fail. You can go through and we've heard the stories of, when the light bulb was invented, it was like 10,000 mistakes were made before they got the right one. And it wasn't about how many mistakes, it was about getting to a final thing and being okay. Like I said, I don't like a lot of quotes, but there's one I don't know who it's attributed to, but it's, if you see a guy taking a picture on the top of Mount Everest, you can pretty much bet he didn't just start there. Wasn't just dropped there to take a picture. There's a lot of work involved. Moving on. So what we do, and we're going to talk about this in a minute some more, but we're going to play another game with all of you right now. This is everybody. This is called Yes and Advertising. I've done marketing kind of stuff most of my life, but this is a thing where this is what I need to do. I'm going to ask a question, and all I need someone in the room to yell out an answer.
Answer.
Thank you. I said an answer, but
An answer.
okay. Once that's done, once it's started, I don't want anyone else to give me a different answer. I just want that one answer. And I want everyone to applaud that answer. Do whatever, do your, Family Feud. Good answer, yeah. I want that kind of feeling. Then I'm going to say, why is that a good answer? And I need somebody else to tell me why it was a good answer quickly. And once they're doing it, I don't need anyone else. I just need one person to jump in and do it. Okay, so we understand the rules of this little game here. All right, so I have got a warehouse full of a certain product I need to get rid of. What is my warehouse completely filled to the roof with? Pipe. Pipe? Did you say pie or pipe? Pipe. Pipe. Water pipe. Yeah, okay. Good answer. All right. Well, I've come here to the business of Yes and Advertising, and I understand you are all the very, very best in marketing something. I got to tell you, I don't know how it happened, but my warehouse is full of pipe all over the place. Can you help me sell pipe?
Yes.
All right, good. This is about yes and. It's not talking. All right, good. Yeah, I guess I should have said I didn't just need one person for that. All right, so I've got to sell this, and I've got that warehouse, but I do have another warehouse that is full of money. So money is no object in trying to sell this pipe. I just want that pipe out of my other warehouse so I can put more money in that warehouse. So I'm thinking I want to do some, you know what I think? I want, money's no object, I want a spokesperson. Who do you recommend for my spokesperson? Snoop Dogg.
Oh, my God.
Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg.
Everybody can sell pipe.
All right. Snoop Dogg, why Snoop Dogg?
Enthusiasm.
One person?
He's alive.
He's alive.
He is alive.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes it much easier. It's so hard to get a spokesperson dead. All right, so I've got this pipe, I've got Snoop Dogg. Man, it should be pretty obvious. I need
What kind of pipe?
I need his slogan. I need his slogan. What's the big thing? What's the tagline of the ad's gonna be? I'm gonna go, Snoop Dogg's gonna go, pipe.
It's totally.
So what was that? Say again?
Faux shizzle.
Oh, shizzle. good, so faux shizzle, why faux shizzle? Someone over on this other one, why faux shizzle?
He'd rap about it.
He'd rap about it. Good, all right, good, yeah, okay. What I need, you guys are great. I need someone to give me a couple lines of the rap that he's going to say about this product.
Corbin.
Roll that in my 6'4".
That's one line.
Sip it on gin and juice.
Smoking pipe down the road.
All right, I like this. Let's, you know what, I'm thinking location. I want to film this ad in a great location. Where's the location we're gonna film this pipe at?
West Jordan,
West Jordan. Why West Jordan?
it's the best, Jordan.
Not you.
Compton wasn't available.
Compton wasn't available. Okay. All right, good. I've advertised in every medium before. I need, you know, we've done the newspaper, we've done the radio, we've done digital, we've done all billboards, we've done everything. I want a new medium. Create something for me. What would that be?
TikTok.
TikTok.
Okay. TikTok. Why TikTok?
Age.
Not from the person who said TikTok.
Everybody uses it.
Everybody uses it. Okay.
Everybody.
Cool.
Good answer.
Thank you for trying to keep the applause meter going. One last one. I have this other warehouse, and I'm thinking maybe if you buy a pipe, you also get a free something.
Matches.
Matches?
Loves.
Long matches. Good. Why matches? Somebody else.
Because Snoop Dogg knows that matches and pipe go well together.
Perfect. All right, good. All right. So that's a very silly little exercise in a way, but let me ask you this. Many of us have been in brainstorming sessions. Even if you didn't answer during this, have you ever been in a brainstorming session where you just felt free to say whatever you wanted to say? A couple of you said yes. How many of you have not said much for fear of being told that's not gonna work or that's stupid? Yeah, that's often. This, I love this because it lets you be free to think, I'm gonna say something. And somebody else was paying attention to what I said, and it struck them to think, why was that a good idea? And I'm gonna tell you why it was a good idea. No one is thinking, no, I've got a better idea. We're gonna, this goes with this theory. So Pixar, has put out some incredible movies. What a lot of people don't know about is the Pixar process for making a movie seems very different than how a lot of people would do it. And they've been changed up the model a little bit, but in the early days, when I think they were at their best, what they would do is they would go, we've got a movie, because they wrote down like 4 or 5 different names from movies and little mini plots, like a Wall-E. We need to do a superhero movie. We need to do that. They wrote some of those down. These are going to be the movies we're going to start with. They then go to their creative force and say, and it would be like if I came here to the council mayor and said, and they would go, I need a movie. It's going to be about a robot at the end of the world, and it's trying, and he's cleaning up, and that's really all we got. In about 2 weeks, I want you to come to me and give me your best idea for that movie. The 8 people would leave, and they would spend 2 weeks trying to come up with the best idea they could. But here's what made Pixar. All 8 of those people knew that their idea, no matter how great it was not the idea that was going to leave that room. The idea that left that room is the one that took some of the best elements of all of them. And they would have that create the thing. And this goes on in sitcoms. You'll see someone's name written at the bottom there, the writer, but they have a writer's room. And the writer's room is all about, oh, we can do this, add this, and it's about building up something so that it has more heart, more meaning, more feeling than just one person's ideas. You can look at some of the movies that have been at the same time, Coco and Book of Life. 2 movies came out almost exactly the same time. Coco had more richness, had more of this feeling of a bigness to it. And nothing against the Book of Life, but that was written by two people who just said, this is our screenplay. The other was written by a team that kept building their life elements into it and kept adding to an existing story and making something bigger. So the idea, and I think sometimes when we do this when we come with our RCAs, this is kind of my idea with it. And we go to the work session. And don't feel bad if your idea doesn't make it out exactly as you wrote it, because it's very rare that all of us go, yeah, man, you nailed it. That's perfect. Nothing, no notes, move on. Let's go. Let's bring it next week and let's sign it into law. We talk about it and we think about, hey, we thought about this, or maybe this word needs to be, and it's about more eyes. And it's about not worrying about the star on the team being able to say, that was mine. It's about we as a council came up with stuff. I know that in my first year, I really didn't know, I was afraid to even bring an RCA. I was like, well, I don't know what I'm doing. But I would say things.
What's RCA?
Request for council action.
No, it's a team. You should know that.
Actually, there's a little plug too, it goes on the back.
Oh, yeah, no, it's a request for council action, so it's how we get the ball rolling. But what was funny is I would realize, I would say things and like a couple weeks later, all of a sudden, there'd be an RCA for something, I go, oh, hey, that's what I was talking about. Someone thought, that's not a bad idea, let's run with it, let's do something more. So this is what we do as a council, we need to be Pixar. We need to not be single-minded in what we do. So the big concept, no is how things end. You want to end something? No. Yes is how things begin. Another improv story. I was doing an improv with a guy and did something, and I saw him going. He came in and he goes, "We need to get a divorce." And I went, "Oh, but what about the kids?" He goes, "We don't have any kids." That's funny, and I got a laugh, but it was like, I don't know where to take this. So I had to come up with, well, yeah, not since we sold them, but still, they're gonna know what happened. And now it becomes this, and the audience are going, what is going on? Yes, it's how things begin. Doesn't necessarily mean how it ends, how it begins. And no can always end the yes later. We exhaust everything. But so I want us to be thinking yes as we get through this. So rules of improv, I told you. There are also rules of business. And I've seen this happen so much. The yes and it's about something happening. When I would say that someone would come to me and say, I need this video done, or whenever anyone comes to me with anything, when a resident comes to me with something, you've got to remember that anytime anyone comes to you for anything, it's because they felt it was important enough to talk to somebody. And they thought you are someone who can help them. It doesn't matter how ridiculous anything, or how small, or how big. They felt it was important enough to come to you and bring it up. And that should never be discounted. Because that is a big step. Someone to find someone else and say, I've got this problem. Especially in our society, we tend to try to we can figure it out ourselves. So anytime anyone comes to me with a problem, I'm gonna say, yes, in some form, whether it may sound like, let me look into that. That's still a yes. But I'm not gonna say, no, I'm not gonna look into that, let me tell you why. Even if it's something I don't think I can do anything about. But like when 1075 started getting me involved in traffic light, I knew I can't do anything about that. I was like, yeah, I'm your guy. Let's go figure this out. So I had to figure out, who do I need to start talking to? Who do I need to reach out and get a yes and from? So sometimes what we do, always watch and listen.
So 1075 is yes, add islands.
Yes, and always watch and listen. In the improv world, people sometimes get in their head and they're trying to figure out how do I save this scene. And while they're doing that, the scene is moving past them. So I always, in my improv world, I tell people, you need to be on the stage, not in your head. Be on the stage because that's where everything's happening. So in everything you're doing in business, don't be in your head of how do I save this when there are conversations and things going on around you. Take that time and listen. Oftentimes we, in this room, a lot of just very, very intelligent people. And the problem we get to sometimes is people are the most intelligent person in the room mentality. The most intelligent person in the room is the one watching and listening to everything because they're getting more information than you have. Trust yourself. You were hired for a reason. You won these seats for a reason. You were hired for a reason. Trust that. Trust that you have the smarts, the intelligence, everything you need to make that happen. Don't think, I don't know if I can do that. You were hired to do this. Trust it. Because even more than that, trust your team. They were hired to be with you, or sometimes you hired them to do things. If you hired someone to do something and you don't trust them to do it, you made a bad hire. That is on you. So trust yourself. Go back to A. Either, build that person up to be what you need them to be, or find someone to be that person. Because you need a team you can trust. We have so many great teams here in West Jordan that it just blows my mind when I think the stuff we're able to get done with such small teams. But it's because we hired the right person to lead, and they hired the people under them to build a great team, and they all just trust that mentality. Make the team the star. In my business world, I've seen several times where there's one person on the team who's obviously the star of the team. They're the ones that everyone looks to, everyone goes to. But what happens in that thing every single time in business that has happened, that person gets promoted and is no longer on that team. What does that do to the people who remain? How good is that team now? Well, they're not very good.
That's good.
Because they relied on one person all the time. And with that person gone, they're like, and it takes them a while to build back up. So make the team the star with quick wits. And I've seen improv troops all around us who have the one guy or one or two guys or gals that are the stars. And I've seen people go to the box office and go, hey, is so-and-so playing? No, he's not playing tonight. All right, I don't want to see the show then. Because that's the funny guy. Or that's the funny lady. In quick wits, three of those guys, those are three great guys. I've got a dozen more equally as strong as them. And they can interchange out because they'll know, like Andrew, the one you saw, the redhead, he was very, big. But if we have another very big personality, he will move down into whatever role is kind of needed. We need someone who is very much the wordsmith of things. Well, he'll move into that. We find a role. Pick up after each other. In football, I use this all the time. In football, the running back's going through the line, boom, ball pops out. The rest of the team doesn't go. It was him. He dropped it. That's on you. You dropped that. No, they dive for that ball. It doesn't matter what just happened. They are going to pick up after each other. And if something happens, I want this with our council. Whatever happens, I want us to not point fingers if we can help it. And I want us to all just jump in. Help out wherever we can. Be a contributor. There's a great thing, and I've seen it happen many times where, and I talked about this a little bit yesterday, even someone giving an idea that's not going to work, talking about that idea for a little while and starting to say, these are the reason that idea is really technically a no. You start to really go on, but if we did this is the yes that could come from this. So contribute, even if you don't think what you're contributing has merit. Anything you say can trigger someone else to think in a different way. So contribute to what's going on. Don't just sit back too much. Don't label each other. If I got time, I think I'm gonna have time to do this. I like this little label exercise I do.
Take all the time you want.
No, I need you. Labeling people is the best thing you can do and the worst thing you can do. Depends on what label you put on. Depends on what you do, and I'll talk about that in a minute. And be okay to fail. Be okay. When I finally started stepping up, going, hey, here's my idea. And people went, no, that's not gonna work. No. All right, well, now I know that that's not how I present an idea. And I started thinking, what do I need? Why did that happen to me? Oh, well, for me, it was because I didn't talk to some people first. They kind of go, hey, I'm thinking about this. What do you think? Well, I think what you got is okay, but if you did this might be okay, great. Let me talk to this person. Well, that's okay, but yeah, if you did this, that, okay. So now I can bring something that people have already been thinking about a little bit. And they've already given me some ideas that I know if I want this idea to go forward, I need to engage more. I need to do things more. I've learned, going back to the team thing, I can't be a council member of one to my district. Because if I'm the one voice to my district and the other 6 of you say no, I'm a horrible voice to my district. I'm no voice to my district. I may be able to come back and say, hey, I gave it a try, it really works. And they go, yeah, boy, thank you. But I didn't help them because I didn't figure out how to help them. So be okay to fail and learn from it. Those are always, failure is an opportunity. Okay, failure is something to learn from every single time. We go back to when we were walking. We didn't go, hey, it's about time to walk. And there we go. Look how beautiful I am at that. It was a lot of falling down. It's a lot of it. But that's how we learn. All right, saying yes helps you find your purpose. Purpose is such a strong thing that you need in your life. What is your purpose? I'm going to say yes to things and find out what my purpose is. Create a positive mental attitude. So important and at times so hard. But being positive about things is the way you can be yes-minded. Being positive and keeping things going, even in the face of uncertainty. Positivity. Build your confidence. If I'm saying yes to things, I'm building my confidence. Again, I'm a hugely confident person. And rarely do I think I can't do something, which has been my detriment many, many times. Because I'll try something and not be good. I am not a good karaoke artist. But I've learned that there's like 1 or 2 songs I can kind of do. So I
don't know if I believe that. I think we should.
Yeah, we'll try that later. Overcome adversity. Again, that positive mental attitude, being able to fail and be okay with it. With your confidence, you can overcome this adversity. You can do things you never thought you would do. You open possibilities. One way we do that is this specialized talent team. Okay, I can do a lot. I know I can do a lot, but I can't do everything. So I have, in going back to the QuickBooks world, I have people on there who can do the things I can't do. And when we're all together, it just looks like we all do everything. But going to into business, I'm very good at certain things in business. The accounting money stuff, I am horrible at. And I was telling Jessica, it's not that I go through midlife crises. I've never grown up. So I still buy things like I'm a 10-year-old with $10 in a 7-Eleven. And that has driven at least 2 wives crazy. One is still with me. But when it comes to business, I know I need people who can do this. I need people who can handle the real business side, because my side is the creative side. I can do this and I can put on an amazing show, but if I don't have someone who can handle the box office, if I don't have someone who can really help me with other elements, having a great show will not matter at all. I need a team. I contribute and I create a label. Figure out what your label is. So as we get to these labels, I'm gonna do this a little bit right now. This is interesting, and I do need 6 volunteers for this. And this is a very fun one. It a little more intensive. You'll need to talk a little bit. It's a very simple scene, but I need 6 people who have said, "Fine, Bob's been talking about say yes a lot. I better say yes to this and come on up." So 6 people. I got 1.
All right.
I got 2. I got 3. I got Paul. Look like he's coming up. Then 1. All right, so I'm sitting here with 5 and 6. Yay! Derwin is coming up. All right, so here's what's gonna happen. I'm going to stick a label to your forehead. So you won't know what it is. I want everyone to look at everyone's label. Never say what it is. And in a moment, when we get going, you're just gonna treat the person like the label. Never say what it is, but just treat them as you would do if we were in a and I'm just gonna do these just straight down the line random. I'm not picking anyone on any particular reason.
Some of us have a lot more real estate.
I have a big forehead for that, right? Sticker worked pretty well. But so you're gonna treat these people like the label it says. Don't ever say you are this.
Ready to see you guys are forward.
You guys start laughing when I get my label.
Is it going to figure out what your label says?
But no, what's gonna happen, you will be amazed, but again, about 30 seconds, here's the magic of this, I'm gonna tell you right now, in about 30 seconds, they are all going to just fall right into what their label says. So you don't say what it is until I ask you, just be the way you're treated. However you're treated, become that. And I'll show you how weirdly powerful this is. So these 6 have been brought in to come to find a way to fix a problem. What's the problem that they're needing to fix right now?
The water is flooding across the street.
Water is flooding across the street. Water is flooding across the street. So you've all looked at each other, you know what everyone else's thing is. Okay, the 6 of you have just been brought in. And what I need you to do is I need you to figure out a way to solve the problem of the water with just being yourself. So begin. What do you think we should do?
I don't know, this guy seems to always have, he's the guy that gets it done, but I think we should ask that.
He's in charge, yeah, so I don't.
Alright, then come up with an idea.
I agree with everything you say.
You totally, but he always.
But we can ignore you.
You ever do anything?
I go with what he said.
You probably don't know how to fix this.
And then he'll get it done.
Do you have any good
What
ideas?
to do, and you just do it.
Alan,
Well,
why
I
don't
wanna
you
know
go
what
get
you think,
some
what
lunch
your
or
ideas
something?
are. Those are the things.
Must know what I
Zach,
think,
yeah,
but-
what do you think?
But Warren's the guy and Paul's the guy that gets it done. Really, I mean,
Historically, we're usually looking for you to generate some
You
leads,
should
and some
talk to
ideas.
him.
Alan, we told you to go get some lunch.
In your experience that,
You can go with Alan. You can go with Alan to get.
if I had Warren's label, then I'd ask Paul.
Okay, great, yeah, hey, I like that.
well, then
thinking,
can you
Paul.
give me some ideas
Paul, yeah,
on
Paul,
what
what
you
do
would
you
do
think?
though? What do you think I should do?
I have no idea what you should do. But I have every.
But you have such
but I
great
have Every
ideas.
confidence that you'll get it.
You have great ideas, so I really wanna know what you have to say.
I agree with that.
All right, do you want me to just do it?
Based off of,
Do you want me to
based
take
off of
Zach's
previous
ideas?
experience we seem to have, we're going off of Zach's ideas and Zach is saying to trust you to get it done. So Paul, let's get it done.
Watch me. I know how to do this with your good ideas.
All right.
You're at lunch though, right?
Yeah, okay, well, we'll stop right here. All right. The real quick, nicely done. The funny thing is, this is a silly little thing, but this is what happens all the time. What was your role? What do you think your thing says?
I was the leader of some sort, so
Okay. You're the boss.
I'm the boss, yeah.
All
or
right.
whatever size that was.
What did you think you were in this?
This one that just got everything done.
You're the workhorse.
Yeah.
All right. What did they think? What did you think you were?
The rookie.
You What about you?
I went to one.
You're the slacker. Okay. What do you think you are on this team?
Stole the diaper.
You're the idea machine. What were you?
I have no idea.
You played it perfectly. You were the brown noser. Oh, was it? Right. You guys can take these off, but thank you. Congratulations. Yeah, that was, I thought he read it. That was so funny.
Just comes natural.
But this is what happens in real life. Oftentimes when I do this, like, okay, and begin, everyone turns to the boss and what do we do? Because they don't know what they are, but they know that's the boss. What do we do? The boss almost always goes to the idea person. What do you think? And anytime the slacker starts to talk, people are like, ugh. Eventually the slacker no longer talks because no one is listening to what they're saying.
What happens to me?
Yeah. The workhorse is always told, all right, that's the idea. You need to do it. Okay, I need to do it. The labels we put on people matter. I'm gonna tell you, it's a brief story because we're about 5 minutes up. I'm gonna wrap this up. So I've done this 100 times for companies, and it's so funny. It never fails. People instantly just start clicking in. Zach, not being the idea person, I think was the longest I've ever had someone try to go away from what everyone is telling them you are.
One thing I noticed, Alan was sitting on the table by the end.
Yeah, by the end, because they just come into the line and then he was just going, I'm not even in this conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, you become what you are. So I was doing an improv show one time and I had an actor from another troupe come in, and I value this actor a lot. I've been trying to get him to do a show with us for years. And I was so excited he was going to do a show with us. But I was a little worried because I had 2 of our newer, weaker actors doing the show with him. But I thought, we'll cover it just fine. That's great. So this actor comes in, his name's Rusty, and he's like, hey, I'm really excited to do a show with you. Man, I go, oh, I can't, you blow my mind every time on stage. I'm looking forward to seeing what you do with my guys. One of those weak actors comes in the door, and he instantly goes, hey, you doing the show with me tonight? And he goes, yeah. And he goes, oh, great. I can't wait. You are amazing. You are awesome. I can't wait to do this scene with you. And I'm in my mind, I'm literally going, no. They're not very good. They're and that person's like, oh, well, I'm pretty excited about it. Yeah. And he goes, no, man, you're great. I've seen you on stage. You do a great job. And again, in my mind, I'm going, oh, please, no, don't think that's not a good representation. Wait till the other guy's gonna. The other weaker actor comes in within 30 seconds of that. This Rusty goes, are you playing too? Goes, oh my gosh, Bob, you rolled out the A-team for me. Oh, man, I'm honored that you've got your best guys doing shows with me. And I'm just like, well, no, these are not my best guys. I'm now mortified that he's gonna think this is our top talent. Spoiler alert, you know who had the best shows of their life?
That team.
Those 2 guys. Rocked it amazingly. Why? Because someone said, you're the best player on our team. It put a mindset. It put that, yes, I am confident. I can be positive about things. I'm going to contribute. I'm going to do all of these things I talked about. I taught this class in front of a big group of teachers that teach inside the prisons. And I talked about how do you label your students? I said, I don't get an answer, but here's what I want you to do. I'm going to give you some homework, whether you do it or not, I don't care. For the next month, treat every student as if they are your best student, that they are there to get the most of this time and get everything out of this class. And you treat them like that. And in your mind, that's how I want you to treat them. And I forgot about it. I went away. About 6 weeks later, I got 2 of them reached back out to me. And they said that's what they did in their classes. And the classes are now incredible. And everyone is just hungry for knowledge. The labels we put on things matters so much. And the labels we give, each other, how we label the staff that we interact with as a council, the labels we give them matters, because as you see, people rise or fall to the level that they're given. And that includes ourselves. So I often tell people, think of the level, the label you want to be. What do you label yourself as? Do you think the others treat you with that label? If no, why not? What can you do to get them to see you? The last time I did this was in a charter school. Some of like the worst students are kind of into this school. And I was doing this and I went over to the principal real quick and I said, hey, do you have those sheets of like the sign-in labels? So there's like a whole bunch of labels. He goes, yeah, give me those. I'll reimburse you for whatever you grab. Give me as many as you can and as many pens as you can. And I had all of the students, there was about 200 students in this little auditorium that I was talking to. I said, I want you all to write whatever label you want everyone in this building to see you as. And I said, and I know some of you are going to write joke things. That's fine. I get it. But I want, if those of you that really think about it, I want you to write the label that you want the world to see you as. And put it on. And principal called me the other day and talked about this huge difference it suddenly made in the halls and stuff. As people were not, and I would say when you see someone, treat them like the label they want to be treated as. He said some of the people who had been so just isolated and closed off, put something on there and people would go, oh, treat them the way they wanted to be seen. Made this huge difference. So labels, so important. What is your label? So the golden rule, I'm gonna real quickly as I wrap this up, I think you're gonna have a couple left of this. Here's one thing, and I'm gonna talk about this more at some point, or I'm gonna give you guys at least the thing. I'm working on a bunch of new little books and classes and stuff like that. But the golden rule is what? Wonderful tool. What is?
Treat others as you want to be treated.
Okay, treat others the way you want to be treated. Here's where I need us to start flipping that. That's fine. That's great. But if you're treating everyone, if I treat all of you the way I want to be treated, what percentage of this room do you think I'm really reaching?
Very small.
Very small, because I like to be treated a certain way. I'm a person when it comes to my personality and you want to talk about something, I just want little facts. I want the bottom line given to me as quickly as possible. And then I'll ask you questions. I don't want you to start telling me a bunch of things I may or may not want to know. And that is me. My wife is the exact opposite. How we communicate, I have no idea. But it's because I had to stop. My wife is a person who will go, hey, so today at work, I was talking to Jessica because we were in the hall. We were going to and I was like going, I don't care. What did you say? But those facts matter to her to get every part of the story right. But to me, I'm like, what did you say? And then we were talking, and Harold came by, so we started talking about him for a little bit. I was like, just get to the story. I have to not do that. My wife also can't get to what else happened? Oh, I don't do the important thing. I said this. Treat others the way they want to be treated. So I'm going to send around a thing down the line to everybody once I get it completed out to show you what that means, because it's important. And I think in the way we deal with residents, I've had to take that on. I've had to really start making sure I'm treating them the way they want to be treated. This is how customer service explodes. If customer service was about treating people the way you want to be treated, you have 75% of your customers, because they're different. All right, guys, I just want to thank you. Let's go ahead and whatever the end of it was, we get the idea. I want this to be a positive council. I want us to all treat each other and with this label of best council member. Everyone on our staff is the best of the best. They are, so that one's easy. We have to work really more to become the label I'm putting on ourselves. But let's do that. Let's think, yes, how are we gonna get this done? When someone comes with an idea, let's see if we can get to a yes that works, because that's how we're gonna become best, Jordan. Guys, thank you very much. All right, now we're going to get legislative issues. Oh, I can feel it.
No, you did not.
I'm sorry, in my mind, I thought I had until the bottom of the hour.
No, this is great. Luckily, Corbin and I were talking about this and we had gone over a lot of the really specific legislative issues that I think are gonna come up. We went about those in depth for a couple of hours at the work session. So I think we're fairly covered on some of the bigger issues that are coming up. One thing I just wanted to focus on, David sent around something that Ivory Homes is shopping up on the hill. I don't know if they found a sponsor yet, on infrastructure. Do you want to talk a second about that, what that infrastructure bill does?
They're really trying to standardize everything across the state. So they're trying to say that basically every city has to have the exact same standard. If they have a consultant who says this is.
If they have a consultant.
They're saying they want it to their standard, is that what?
Exactly.
If their consultant says this works, then we basically have to figure out a way to say,
They want theirs.
here's exactly why it can't be, and if you disagree, it can go to. It's kind of the ombudsman scenario, where if the ombudsman or this third party person says the developer's consultant we think is right, you can still say no, but then you're open to legal challenge and paying all the legal fees.
We're talking about, if the consultant says that the road base should be 3 inches, our standard is 4, we have to go with the 3 unless we're.
And then we have to repair it.
So, and that's the issue is it just becomes more expensive for the taxpayer later.
Well, and standards is one size fits all either, because every city has different soils, every city is different. That's.
And they're talking about for sidewalks, for gutter, they want everything to be what their consultant says.
Sounds like 4 inches of asphalt, they'd rather have 2.5, 3 inches, and we require 4. We're kind of the poster child, I think, for why this is.
Well, and one example I'll give, there are a million examples of this, but I was working on a project with UTA down in Riverton, Harriman, where they wanted a bus route, and we've been working for about 8 months on a potential new bus route that goes through those 2 cities and kind of makes a loop to tracks or to the train. And it was supposed to run right through Mountain View Village, the bus, which makes sense. That's where people are going to be getting off. And UTA came back and said, we can't put our bus through here. And they said, oh, it's not wide enough. And they said, no, it's only like a 2.5 inch road. Like we can't, we'll rip up this street over time. And so the city, it wasn't theirs. The developer owns that street and they said, we don't care. Now the developer is trying to give that street to the city. And the city's like, if we take it, we now have to rip the entire street out and then do like we're seeing, the problems are being seen in real time. The issue we have is convincing the legislature, who is run by developers in leadership, to see that, hey, we actually have a valid point. This is the first year where I have not really seen the Senate and the House priorities mix. They're not really aligned. And it's very, very clear as we are going up, and they meet before the legislative session, leadership meets, and they decide what their priorities are going to be. They are not really meshing, in my opinion. I sit on a council, go ahead.
Is that a good thing?
I mean, I kind of like it, because when they're aligned, someone gets punished. And, if they can't figure it out, we seem to be okay. But sometimes that makes for messier legislation, just so they can agree on something. They let a lot of, terrible things get thrown onto a bill. So it has its, positives and negatives. The Senate just came out with their priorities and they're extremely vague. I sit on a council called the Utah Business Coalition. On that coalition, we meet with, it's made up of mostly associations and businesses. And we meet individually with the speaker and with the president. We usually meet with the governor every year and he has refused all meetings. His schedule's too full. And so he's kind of canceling a lot of the meetings. He's going to the Olympics during the session.
That might be.
And so we're okay with that. So anyway, so we met with the speaker and he said, here are my top priorities. They were very specific. And the Senate president did not. He was like, we're gonna make Utah economically friendly. We're gonna be business friendly. We're gonna keep taxes low. Not a lot of specifics. And so when they finally got their specifics, here's what they came up with. Lower taxes, supporting families, workers, and small business. Affordable housing, expanding opportunities for homeownership. Water for the future, powering the next generation, advancing energy, technology, and innovation. Upholding the Constitution, we don't interpret, we uphold. Protecting freedom in a data-connected world. Utah solutions for a global impact. Election integrity, securing the foundations of democracy. Learning with purpose and principles, preparing students for success. There was no explanation under any of those. And so we, as kind of lobbyists, we're all talking about what the Senate is trying to do, and usually we have a pretty good handle. Out of this, we don't understand exactly what they're going to do. It's very clear this session is being led by the House. The speaker is running the show here, and the Senate is kind of reacting and figuring out how to get their priorities into that. I think it's strategic on the Senate side. They're seeing the House be more aggressive, and the Senate philosophy right now is, let's just chill. Let's hold on. Let's see what's going to happen. The House, much more robust. We talked about the gas tax. Just want to finish up and talking about some raw numbers. The gas tax to the transportation fund means about 700 million bucks. West Jordan City's portion of that on the C road funds is about 8 million, $4 million to the city of West Jordan. The legislative leadership, the House leadership has told cities, you will be made whole. We have encouraged, the cities are getting attacked like crazy. Mayor came to the Senate and the House fundraisers. On the governor's side, they're all attacking cities. Really, I think they're attacking 2 or 3 cities and punishing the whole state. That's my interpretation alone. I don't think it's necessary. Salt Lake on transportation, yes. They're very frustrated with Salt Lake. They don't like the green loop. They don't like getting rid of parking spaces. It's impossible to get a parking structure permitted in that city. They're very frustrated with that. They don't like the extra bike and bus lanes that are taking out traffic. So yes, they're getting punished. On the building side of things, there are some more, there are rural communities on the Wasatch Front. So they're not, I don't think they're in Salt Lake County at all. I think they're up north. They're up north. And the speaker, the speaker was a developer. He owned Castle Creek Homes. I think that's important to note. He no longer owns that. He gave that away to his business partners, but he still retains a lot of the apartments that Castle Creek does. He still has ownership in that. Still very much an active businessman. He's a very good businessman. President Adams, he built the Smiths up on 78 and 5600. I mean, he specializes in grocery stores for Kroger and finding locations, building that. And so there's a couple of communities up north that don't want grocery stores, that don't want apartments, that don't want. They don't want grocery stores. On their main drag of their city, they do not want a grocery store there. They do not want high density off the freeway. They do not.
Density at all.
They don't want density at all. You still have to have at least an acre minimum there if they're on the Wasatch Front. So there's a lot of frustration, and the only way, and we get this all the time from developers,
Now, what was that the Senate wanted to follow the
which here's the other thing, and they'll tell you this, and this is a good segue. We are political subdivisions of the state. The state controls us, and
makes me aware of that.
they do let us know that a lot. What is interesting is we were in a meeting with Speaker Schultz. And he said, you know, my first session 12 years ago, federalism was my biggest issue. And then I can't remember the other two said, but he said, federalism is still the biggest issue. And then someone asked him about property tax. And he said, you know, property tax is a local issue and it needs to be local. But we keep hearing about it because people are upset. So we got to do something. And I'm like, that's what the feds say about the state all the time. Is this should be a state issue, but we keep hearing about it and our constituents want to know, so we're gonna take it out on states. It's the same process, they're not linking that though. So they are going to do something on property tax. There is a graph, if you go to house.utahledge.com, they go through their priorities. Under here, it says the cost of living, reining in property tax. Utahns are feeling the pinch of increasing property taxes. Over the past few years, local governments and school districts have approved high property tax increases. I would disagree. In our city, I think we do a great job about keeping property taxes low, especially compared to other surrounding cities. Utahns deserve to have their voices heard when decisions, meaning the legislature gets to control that process. And then they talk about the shifting property tax burden shifting to homeowners. So businesses used to pay 55% of property taxes. Now they're paying 45%. That number is kind of switched. And so homeowners are paying 55% of all property tax. They want to reverse that.
Wouldn't that just raise prices? Right?
So businesses are very concerned.
I raise my taxes and they still pay for it.
Yes, that is accurate. I don't think the legislature cares. I think they need to show.
Saving, it's worried about who's charging.
They need to show that we've saved you on the stuff we can control. We've saved you money.
It's like tariffs, you know. Yeah, tariffs are good.
It's a lot
pay
like
for
that. We're seeing that in the gas tax. He's put that as his priority. On changing the gas tax, but the caucus has not voted on the gas tax.
Change the gas tax, lowering it?
So they want to lower, right now, the gas tax sits at about 39 cents. They want to lower that, the speaker wants to lower it 20 cents. But if that funds $700 million into the transportation fund, I don't know how you make up that difference. So what they're proposing is a fee on upstream producers that actually take oil and gas out of the ground and going after oil refineries. I don't know how that makes gas cheaper, but so I think the price of gas would rise. But I don't think it would be because I think it would be a supply issue. I just think that they would stop drilling and stop refining. They would stop doing it here. The reason there's been an argument back and forth about why gas is more expensive in Utah than it is in surrounding states. Some of the states that's not true. We're typically less than Idaho and other states, but in Colorado, they have pipelines that go right to the Permian Basin in Texas. So it's very easy to move oil and refine it in Colorado. It's a lot cheaper. In Wyoming, they have lots of pipelines as well, and they are over capacity for what their state consumes. So they're always shipping it out. In Utah, it's very different. All the oil and gas is pulled out of the ground in the Uinta Basin. We have to truck it somewhere. So we either have to truck it to Salt Lake, which is pretty rare. It's not usually what we do. We take it up to Wyoming where there's a pipeline and can send it to refiners. That's expensive. So it's a little more expensive. So we're talking about changing infrastructure. And he's just saying, no, we're going to lower it and put that tax burden on oil refineries and upstream
Adam?
gas producers.
If it goes to producers, is the potential the producers leave the state because it's
It's
cheaper?
100% what will happen. 100% what will happen. Because most of the folks that have oil wells here also have them in the Permian Basin, and they'll just focus more on Texas than here.
Is there any talk of, I don't know why we didn't this years ago, but the refineries really aren't in the best location for our state.
Yeah.
Is
Moving
there-
them?
Yeah, they talk about,
No, they're not gonna, they've talked about them and they've approached them. It's billions and billions of dollars for these companies to move. And the only thing I think that would push them to move is a $700 million tax increase. And they'd leave. I think that's the only thing. But they've invested like crazy. The
would it be
legislature-
better to help them move somewhere else and make it cheaper?
Yeah, I don't know how it gets cheaper for us if they move. If they move out of state, then we take it in our state and imports are taxed.
Right.
Exports are not.
We could move it to
So-
where the oil is.
It's gonna cost more to move it too.
Costs more to move it. So
So
all
move
of
the
these
garbage
are,
From here to Kelly.
it's very clear, this is on their, the gas prices is on their document. But the caucus did not take a vote on it. The speaker just put it on.
Yeah, well, does the
Um,
caucus want their bills to go through?
They're all gonna say yes, sir.
Vote.
So we're working very heavily on the Senate to change that. I've talked to the Association of Counties. They're gonna make an effort to oppose it. The cities feel attacked on every front. This is not maybe an issue they want to be out in front, but they'll support by asking a lot of questions. What's your methodology in figuring out where the taxes are gonna come from? How are we gonna be made whole? Things like that. So we're trying to work on the messaging with everybody. One thing they did was the last 2 years, if you remember, the legislature went through an exercise where they were pretty upset with a lot of the curriculum in the universities. And there were a lot of programs that didn't have people majoring in them. So everyone was very upset. I was too, like, how dare the legislature decide what kids can be educated on, et cetera. And then they went through this exercise. It was really interesting to find out. Up at the University of Utah, they canceled dozens and dozens of majors that have never had anyone graduate in them. It was really kind of a fascinating exercise. No one was taking these classes, but they were still subsidizing the professors and the programs. And I thought that was a really good exercise. They said each university has to come to us with how you would repurpose 10% of your budget. If we gave you a 10% haircut, what would you do? How would you reprogram the money? And if they came back with like satisfactory answers, they were kind of rewarded with, okay, you can keep this money. Weber State University said nursing and engineering. We need both of those things. We will cut here and we want to invest more in nursing and engineering. Legislature said that's a great idea. You should do that. They went through this big exercise, and I think it was a healthy exercise for a bureaucracy to go through every once in a while, even if you don't take the cuts. I think it's effective to look at what you care about when you spend money. They liked that exercise so much that the House and the Senate have agreed that this year through our appropriations committees, we're going to do that exact same thing with every single department division at the state level. We're telling them you have to take a 5% cut. What does that look like? What do you spend your money on? And if you come back and you say, if we do this, then we have to kill 5,000 puppies, when that's not what you have to do, that you get punished for that. So divisions and departments in the state are actually taking a pretty serious look and working with department chairs. there, with the passage of the big beautiful bill, a lot of Medicaid, there were a lot of Medicaid changes, a lot of rural hospital changes. To the state of Utah, that means about a $400 million haircut this budget session. So they're looking at, they originally thought it was gonna be a $400 million deficit. We're looking now, it's probably like 250, 300. That's what it says in the governor's budget. We don't know what exactly that's gonna look like, but we just keep being told there's no money. Usually when there's no money, that means there's no money except for the things that we really wanna fund additionally. So we gotta figure out what those are, and we have to see how that affects. West Jordan has been, I would say, outsized in we're punching above our weight up at the legislature with getting specific funding by the state legislature directed to West Jordan City. Last year, I think there were 4 cities in the Bill of Bills that actually got specific funding that we should not have gotten, I would say. And so over the last 3 years, I've been with the city now, it'll be 3 years, which is crazy. 3 years lobbying for the city in February. And so combined with Lincoln Shirts, who does our appropriation stuff, and myself on the federal side, we're looking at close to $15 million that we've got over the last 2.5 years for the city. That is money we would not get normally outside of a normal applying for grants and applying through the regular process. So we're proud of that. We want to keep that. Lincoln Shirts, you should know, he is, it's a very stupid process, the way that we do some of this road funding. What typically happens is there will be a bill that is very innocuous that has, we call it a boxcar bill. It'll have a title. It won't have much detail in it. The bill will come out. It will look innocuous. Everyone will pass it by. And then there is the president, the speaker, Carlos Braceras from UDOT, 1 or 2 others, maybe Andrew Gruber. And then we have Wayne Harper sometimes is in that room, but then you'll have Lincoln in that room. And he's been in that room since he worked for the League of Cities and Towns. So he's in that room. Greg Curtis is in that room, former speaker, lobbyist. And they kind of decide, the Senate and the House have a list of here's the projects that we want funded. And they'll usually have anywhere from $50 to $100 million attached to that bill. And then it will come out on the last week of the session and it will have all of these projects. And there won't be a committee hearing on it because it's at the end and they suspend the rules and bring the bill up to vote. Because that's when they're doing all the fiscal bills. And we're, for the last 3 years, we've been mentioned in that bill specifically to receive funding for some of the projects. So that's Lincoln. I'm going to give him all the credit for that. And I tag team and he tells me who to call and who to lobby. And so we tag team that, but he's in the room getting specific things put in that bill. We're going to go through that exercise, do that process again. Homelessness is going to be a big issue. They really want to focus on the Jordan River Trail, cleaning up the Jordan River Trail.
Only to 5,400, right?
That's correct.
Do we have an issue in our section?
Yes.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
What we're hoping to see is if the state puts more resources, it will allow more resources to funnel down from the county.
I'm glad you asked.
For help.
I don't know, and I live by it.
Yeah.
Good.
Never noticed.
Thank you for not noticing.
So,
You're doing a good job.
Well, that'd be.
and I think they're going to focus more on rapid cleanup too, which is going to be great. Of course, more enforcement. We're working with the county pretty extensively.
But if we do it only in that section, just like other things, we just move it.
So that's what we call Operation Rio Grande. When they really focus on
Exactly.
that, we call it Operation Leaf Blower because it just pushed it out to the rest of the county. We're working with the county pretty heavily on figuring some of that stuff out. Part of that is going to be they're going out for they're gonna go out for bond, to build, more jail beds. They wanna build hundreds of more jail beds.
Adam represents our city with the county. By
So I represent the city for homelessness and just on the side, kind of extra criminal justice stuff. That is a good thing, in my opinion, to be building more beds.
That's a short-term help.
I think it will be long-term.
You can't be in jail that long.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you. You can't be in jail that long. There's also other resources we have right now with Oxbow Jail. Oxbow is not open. Oxbow is not a capacity. They don't have the staffing and the funding to do that. It needs to be fixed up. They need more money. Everybody needs
We
more
wanna
money,
build more.
right? We need that
beds.
warehouse of Bob's
Yeah.
money.
You know,
What's really important to note, I want us all to be cautious here too, as we're talking about it. We're working with the county. We don't want to be loud about this, but we're also very concerned that they could not put a ZAP bond, a Parks and Rec bond, because they don't want it to compete with criminal justice, and they see that as more important. We would like to have some recreation on the west side of our city, and that bonding could, if we don't bond for it, we're nervous about the timeline on building a rec center.
There is data that shows if we don't provide the recreation, then we create more need for the jail beds, right?
You're 100% correct.
So
You're 100%
make sure we're
correct.
giving them that.
And I think they know that, and they also know that a Parks and Rec bond will always pass. Historically in Salt Lake County, it passes with 72% every 10 years, every 5 years, whatever it is that they do it. So they know it will pass, but they feel like if residents want Parks and Rec, then they will sacrifice criminal justice. There are other ways to do the criminal justice piece without putting it on the ballot. And we are working with the county to talk through some of those issues. And if we do that, if we convince them that there are other ways to do this, they will expect the city to back them up. I think we need to look carefully at what that looks like and provide support to the county. They also feel like to pass a criminal justice bond, they need to raise about $2 million to do the messaging for that.
Adam,
So
I think you're right, that we need to support them in that, but they need to do a better job with their messaging because they're not making themselves look very good.
I've communicated that to them, and I said every time one of you talked about it, I wanted to scream because I wanted to vote for it and I had no idea what I was voting for. And they said, we totally agree. We had 2 different messages. I was like, yeah. I didn't know either. That's gonna play a big part. Last thing I want to talk about, we've talked about this kind of at length. So they finally came out with some numbers tackling aging infrastructure and insufficient supply across the state. Aging water systems and limited shortage threaten our ability to meet future needs. In 2024, lawmakers passed HB 280. HB 280 is the bill we went through kind of in depth with you and talked about how they want to raise water fees from the state level, 75 cents per 1,000 gallons. And then in order to receive any of that money to build our aging infrastructure out or replace it, we had to charge a minimum of, I believe it was $1,800 per resident per year, at least, to be eligible to receive that money. That's a significant increase from the city side and a very significant increase from the state side. They're telling us the numbers are by 2060, Utah will need $38 billion for drinking water infrastructure, $15 billion for water quality upgrades, $6 billion for irrigation and canal improvements. Be aware that's going to come up and they're going to try that funding this year. I've tried to rally a lot of cities to hate this idea. I know we need the money, but to have a state fee of 75 cents per 1,000 gallons, I think just rough numbers when we were talking, we're saying that is equivalent to about a 45% property tax increase to residents, just on the state side. Then I don't know what we charge on average, water, sewer, per household. I think we should find that data, whatever that is. But if we get to, if they're looking at we have to charge at least $1,800 per resident, on average.
Is it per resident or per?
No, it's, sorry,
Per
you're right, it's not per resident, it's per resident, or it's per
Household.
retail hookup,
Per connection.
per connection.
Per unit.
So we gotta look at what those numbers are, to be eligible for it.
Well, our ERC is 650 gallons. a Day. And multiply that by 365,
How many utility bills do we have?
Over 26,000.
Okay.
Like that, it's almost doubling their bill. At $1,800 a year.
It will more than double my bill.
Yeah.
And nobody will
well,
complain.
it's 150 a month.
So, one thing we've talked about in the past, I know I'm over time here, I wanna finish by just saying, in the past, we've talked about, adding line items to our bill of saying this is a state fee.
And we
And
can't do that.
we can call it the Casey Snyder and Scott Sandal Memorial Fee, on our bill.
I don't think they mind because none of us can vote.
I think there's a lot of wisdom in doing that for our residents to see, like, a line item, that's not us. But I would really feel really comfortable if surrounding cities, if a lot of cities took that same approach.
If we don't
passes,
want to be the
so
only
it's
one.
not just us.
Yeah.
So, keep that in mind. I think that may be a direction we want to go. Some version of this will pass this year, in my opinion. We have to, do as much as we possibly can to make this seem so ugly that they have to drastically reduce what they're trying to do to cities. So they're co-opting kind of our water, they want to co-opt our zoning and our policing. And so I think we're gonna have to work overtime. I just want to say, to finish off on something that Bob was touching on like committees. The old phrase of a camel is a horse built by committee. That doesn't really make sense, and it's lumpy. And you kind of turn that script on its head. And I think we've really done that with the city. Whenever bills come out and the city council has been aware of them, you have all been really great at contacting me, saying what you like or don't like. Department heads have been phenomenal and very fast on getting really reliable data that we can use with legislators to change their minds. That is really, really important. I say this every year. I want to reiterate. I want you to use the relationships you have as department heads and city council by talking to legislators that you know, or ones that you don't. I don't care who you talk to or what you talk about. It's your prerogative as a city council member, as an elected official. The thing I want to avoid is if you call someone on the transportation committee and advocate for something, and then I come in after and say how much we as a city hate something, that I am not going against your wishes. I want you to have all the conversations you want, and then I would love for you to fill me in on what conversations you are having and what you're hearing back. There's a lot of things that you just find out by being in the halls. When you have conversations with representatives and senators, you're gonna find out information that I probably don't know, and I need to know that. So at the risk of just repeating myself too much, I do not want to ever contradict you. I want to support you. And if there's something that we have disagreements about, I would rather not talk to the people that you have talked to. You know what I mean? I want to make sure we're all on the same team here. And to do that, we need to be communicating during the session.
And so, can I add, and if we're not advocating for something we've kind of taken a stand on, or it's the city's position, we need to make it really clear that we're there just as
Great.
a resident.
That's a great point, which you're totally free to do. Hey, I'm calling as an elected official. Our city is not taking a position on this, but my own personal feelings are. Totally fine, totally acceptable. We don't want to prevent you from doing that.
I also want to add, I don't think they're just picking on cities. I think cities and LEAs are both pretty good targets.
Yes. Yes, there's a lot of targets out there
It's-
this year.
It's easy for us to sit and point fingers and say they're picking on us, yada, yada, yada. But in reality, they're seeing a problem and they're trying to solve a problem.
Totally true.
And they're looking for avenues through which they can solve that problem, and not inaccurately to them, we are a tool that they can leverage. And it's not wrong. We may not like it, we may think that there's 300 tools in this state and not one that's gonna fit everybody. But at the end of the day, I think we get a lot further with honey than with vinegar, so to speak. And if we go up there saying, stop picking on our city, or stop picking on cities, or stop being mean to us, I don't think we get very far. But if we go up to them and say, this is how this is gonna hurt our constituents who are also your constituents, then we get a lot.
We've done, that's a great point. We've been, Mayor and I have been taking legislators out to lunch for the session.
Yeah, but where? That's the important thing.
In West Jordan.
In West Jordan.
Does they count? Oh,
We-
never mind.
We eat at gyms a lot. But one thing that's a really good theme, as we said, Mayor's done a good job of saying, here's what West Jordan has done, the legislature has asked us to do. When you are hearing that cities are not working for their constituents, will you be in our corner? Will you defend us? And both sides of the spectrum are like, yes, we know West Jordan is doing what they're supposed to do. Let folks know. To finish the legislature, to your point, Speaker Schultz said something really interesting where he said, we pushed cities like crazy to be more dense. Not the cities to be more dense, but we need more high density housing. And he said cities responded and they built a ton of apartments. And that still has not helped our housing crisis. There's still not enough people being able to afford first-time homes, but rents have dramatically dropped. And he's like, so we solved that problem, but it wasn't the problem we were trying to solve. And now they're trying to swing the pendulum. So they're realizing that like their words have meaning in cities. And so we've used that to say, see, cities are listening to you. And we can only use the tools that you give us or tell us what's acceptable. That's why on the bus tour next week, one of the things we're going to be showing them is terrain and how the developers and the city work together and come up with like the best possible solution for cities.
Just like that first bus tour where we showed the Ivory section and Connie was on some of them.
Yeah.
Which is like, see all those homes? Oh, isn't that great? Those homes are great. You know, each one of those homes cost $1 million. So yeah, we're building homes, but not homes people can afford.
Yep.
And last year, we were able to point out the lovely subdivision near Kent and Allen that they love.
Mhm.
And the
We're building
benefits
homes.
of that.
You just can't buy them.
The bus tour has been great. And there's a couple people that can't make the bus tour. So I'm doing a separate tour. I'm driving them just.
Are we getting more? So,
Hey, we have a bus you can use.
More attending?
yeah,
We are.
good,
We're getting more people attending.
good.
The legislative turnout is probably still gonna be the same. You lose some, the dates are really impossible to work out. So, and every time we go, this works for all of us, let's get it scheduled. Salt Lake Community College has their thing. You know, the same day, they're like, we're not moving. We had 5 cancels with Slick to come on our thing, so. All right, that's all I have. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Ron.
I want to tackle one more topic real quick before we break. Recently, in the budget, you approved some funding for license plate readers. In the news recently, there was questions about Salt Lake City and their license plate readers and the manufacturer and the sharing of data. We had a few emails go back and forth, but I think there was some misunderstandings. I want Chief Robertson to give some explanation about our license plate reader program, how we integrate with UDOT, and others. And just be available if there's any questions about that.
Thanks. First of all, license plate readers for us is a important technology that gives us a lot more options to solve crimes. If we're not taking advantage of this technology, we're spending hours and hours longer on some of the major crimes that we have happening in the city. What it does is it uses technology or information, really. It uses technology to analyze information that we already have access to. That being state records, things that are protected by BCI. All of our officers are obviously BCI cleared. They get background checks to make sure that they're able to access that information. License plate readers specifically pull all of the data from a camera and are able to analyze that information, so we don't have to spend hours and hours doing it ourselves. Specifically, if we had a license plate involved in an incident or even a vehicle description involved in an incident, we can search for that vehicle. That helps us find the vehicle moving forward, but it also helps us in the investigation find out where that vehicle has been in the past. Some of the stories that have come out that have caused concern about it were specific to one company called Flock. We don't contract with Flock. We did look at Flock, but we didn't go with that company, fortunately. That was even before these stories came out. And the concern with that was that in Flock's base contract, they had an agreement that if you didn't remove it, if we didn't catch it, if the attorneys didn't say we don't want this, it was in their base contract that federal agencies would have automatic access to our data. So we've been using license plate reader technology by accessing data from cameras from other agencies. For example, UTA has had license plate readers at their track stations for a long time. We have asked for access to that, so we've been able to solve some cases already by our access to other agencies' camera systems. We just want to add to that and have our ability to put those technologies in our city. We're going to focus on really exits and entrances into the city, so that if a crime happens here, that we have ability to see they're leaving in a vehicle, that we have the ability to see that vehicle when it came in, when it left, and then continue to track it. Some success stories that we have had are on really some big cases. Being able to locate a license plate, track down suspects, but then go back and build the pattern of what happened before. Even finding where people live. If we find a license plate that's hit every day on one camera area in an apartment complex, they likely live in that apartment complex. Any questions about it, concerns, I can answer.
What would it cost to add license plate readers on the city instead of just using others? How much would it cost us to add that?
So our budget, I think we're budgeted about 40,000 this year to add them. So we're starting to implement those now, and that gave us about 30 cameras. So we're going to start with that. I think cameras, adding like an individual camera somewhere around 45,000 per applicant.
Is that ongoing? Just one time. So we don't own the cameras.
Question. I don't know if we're leasing them or if we them with the option of being.
I believe we own the camera. The cameras come with the first year of the long-term lease, but then it's a long-term lease.
But the company we went with is called Vigilant.
So we own the camera, but we lease the software, right?
Yeah, and the management and the storage of the data.
And I believe they replace the cameras if they can within a certain.
And I think we went with that company partially because we got the most bang for our buck. We got the most cameras that still have access to the system, and they'll be able to tie into our technologies in the future.
Was the contract with Vigilant did it not include shared data?
We have total control over who sees our data, which typically is other local agencies who share their data with us, and who we know are vetted in the right way, and we're managing the data.
So would you say that saves your officers time? Saves us money, so it's paying for itself. Then some?
Yeah, I mean, if we have a homicide case, first of all, I think there's a lot more pressure to solve those cases really quickly now. It would be that, almost immediately, it's like, what happened and have you solved it yet? And if you haven't, why not? So it helps us with that. But if we're not using this technology, for example, just sometimes tracking a suspect down, it can take weeks if we don't know where they're traveling and we don't know where their vehicle could be. Not just tracking him down, let alone figuring out who solved it. So just in the time we're spending investigating those major cases, it saves us time. But I'll also say it brings a whole new pool of cases that maybe we would never have any suspect information on. Not like lower level cases like a vehicle theft. Vehicle gets stolen now and it's put on NCIC and all of the license plate readers out there are looking for that vehicle and it will tell us every time it hits in other cities and in our city, so that we're able to track those down a lot faster. It's a lot harder to drive around anymore with a small vehicle. Because of,
If they cover license plate.
yeah, unless they do that. But once even we have an image of the vehicle, if we know the vehicle, we can put the image of the vehicle in the license plate system.
Find the car that doesn't have license plate.
Fascinating, thank you.
Sorry about
I just said thank you.
that. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, hey, so, and I apologize, my thing went over in my mind, for whatever reason, I suddenly thought I was supposed to end at 10:30. So I apologize very much. To all of you for-
You're out. You're done.
Good. But let's, we're gonna take a break now, let's, be ready to start at 10:30. So we're, only the 15 minutes behind that I cost everybody. But, let's, take a break, be back in 10 minutes, ready to start. Thank you.
Yes, but we got.
I hope so.
Did you know there's an air space being down? It's supposed to be ironic.
Yeah, no, I've been saying that just a little image when I'm an Air Force brat.
Yeah,
Me too.
we've got, like, this is gonna go. So we're only put the-
All the
Oregon Trail.
Yeah.
What is that? What?
Intelligence was
So like,
oh my God. Number one guy for the photos that came from
Put some money into it. See law, you know.
To give it back in Vietnam, we're not. Let's do that. So you do that.
I'll go back later.
My dad was.
Wow.
And how we make this close.
Like
Someday I want to.
Yeah.
But he was the guy who was gonna figure out how to get it. I do fly.
No. What were you thinking you would say?
And drop the bomb, drop the bomb. If you drop it here, plane would have made it out.
Yeah.
But he was having to figure out a way to pump the top that he could then drop the bomb.
With the unique shop.
The best line that came out of that.
And the.
I got this out.
It's like, that may be any of those, not voting people to us.
But I don't know. Oh, he just, he brings stuff else, is that, so, I think it's close enough.
So what basically?
She that probably needs to say.
I've lived, we've been in Tokyo.
Several of them said, like, you know.
There was a time in Florida where there was some Iceland.
Where reality is, you should be focused on. My job.
Two different places.
Yeah,
It was only about 30 miles. Yeah, there was one like Pensacola for a while.
Yeah.
And we kind of lived there for a while, and my dad. For like that. For a lot.
Okay.
I got over there, South Carolina.
Based in Pensacola, down here.
Rover.
Herbert, yeah.
I
think they're combined now.
Oh, I mean, they could have been,
Yeah.
but my dad was able to kind of keep working that we stayed
Okay.
for the longest. Minot, North Dakota.
Oh, nice.
I was born in Roswell.
No kidding.
So a lot of different places. So then we came up here to Utah when the F-16s came to Utah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then my whole family disintegrated and went
everywhere and I just stay here.
Yes,
Right.
we need you to
Many
take
of the
really
same
good
places.
notes.
When you were in
pictures
Tokyo, was
of
it
the
Yokosuka?
results and track that.
I was really, I only remember Tokyo Tower.
Yeah. Yeah, we lived in Dakota, Minot, we did Alan Ward in Mexico.
Yeah.
Yeah. all in aircraft base. Edward.
And you're running
yeah,
the
right
discussion.
now.
Edwards is one.
We were back to.
Yeah, yep.
My brother-in-law flies B-52.
Yeah, this was, yeah, at one point,
Yeah.
you know, got
We're gonna
a
lose
third
the
to
fund,
came
so-
to visit and wanted to, cause like I said, there was a time, so it's a little bit, the number one. So he tried to come back and say, I'm ready to help again. It's like, what you do, what you did, we don't do, you know, we, and he used to be, they would go and take pictures,
Yeah.
give him a cast for film, because you have to develop the film.
Right.
And then you have to build these models based on the same.
Yeah.
And all this stuff.
My
Yeah,
dad was
no.
a trained navigator, right, as GPS.
Yeah, we do.
Not
How we work anymore.
Aesthetics is very specific. Proud to be my friend, it's kind of a little bit.
I'm inexperienced.
Other, those are all. I should have just done. You guys put anything on. So I gotta test. Really usually.
Oh, okay. There's water there. Three. Okay. Thank you. He's gonna be here.
That's the one it is.
Yeah.
Okay. Even if it's your bank, you share. I was never gonna switch. Share.
On my.
Yeah, major.
Isn't it funny how they make it look all-
Yeah.
Well, the bottle is white chocolate.
Angle, their hills at 7 feet. They're all stopping. You can't get off the shoulder, you're going down. Venture, same. You just got a for your guy, you wind out. Really? You can call me every day. And we. They were about for like 2 years. 2 years.
Yeah, it needs to go.
You're most kind of.
Water.
But they're really on my price.
Yeah.
Corey. Right.
You're always responsible to call.
When I do go.
Oh, there's some.
This is my first. Yeah.
You get the other.
I love those.
My dad said.
Yeah.
We had thought about something.
There's a fundraiser.
Yeah, yeah. Where do you live?
Obviously.
Yeah.
I actually.
But he says that.
Well,
Yeah, we tried that. What we go.
I kind of feel like it's.
Hey, hear that joke, who got that joke for us? Greg, you got one for us?
I know they're on 90.
Got that joke for us, Jessica? No, it's not out for us.
Let's look and see exactly. I do.
Okay, Greg got that joke for us, let's hear it, Greg.
Hey, why didn't the skeleton go on the roller coaster?
Why?
It didn't have the guts.
I'm gonna name it Mayo. Because Mayo days.
In fact, you got some friends that don't have to get out fast. Really.
Just two laptops.
Probably wouldn't let you just.
That's right.
Checks. Sounds good. What do you call a dog with no legs? What do you call a dog with no legs? Whatever we call rules come.
Yeah.
So there's a well-dressed person on a bicycle and a poorly dressed person on a tricycle. What's the difference?
One's the man.
Attire is the difference.
All right, we're at time.
Oh, I gotta quit, okay.
I got.
Sorry,
Are
Corbin.
you ready, Paul?
Corbin's probably got some dad jokes too.
Yeah, he tells a lot of
They say we attract what we fear, so I'm really scared of people.
We want, I wish. I'm kicking myself because, we had this really great training from Bob this morning about not thinking in zero sum terms and making yes happen and growing our mindset. Now I'm gonna come back to this at the end of the retreat and say, okay, you gotta pick this or this, you know, and everything, the decisions we're gonna ask you are kind of zero sum, but we're not saying no to anything we wanna talk about, but what we want is just some prioritization. In order to get the best way to know where to prioritize staff time, resources, budgets, we're gonna ask you to fill out some Slido polls that phrase it as yes, no. I don't want you to take it as if something isn't the top priority, it's a no. But we're just trying to know, where do we start with our efforts, with our resources, with our.
And you don't want them all to be yes, even though that was.
They're all yes, I have a hard time knowing where we should focus the city.
You won't like the tax proposal. They're all us.
Okay, so with that, Denise, Paul, and I are going to run you through a couple of Slido polls. we may pause after a Slido poll and talk about it and say, okay, what do you really mean by this? What do you think? You're gonna probably be frustrated with this few of the Slido polls as well, because these Slido polls lose some of the nuance, right? When you say, I want this to happen, but you're comparing it with this or that, and like, well, you're asking me to compare apples and oranges, or you didn't quite phrase it the way I wanted to phrase it. We're doing our best. So we'll do a Slido poll and then we'll pause. And if you want to talk about it, if you want to make it a little more of a case for something, if you want to say, well, I voted this way, but I really feel, here's how I feel, and the poll didn't reflect that, we're open to those discussions. We have up to an hour and a half. We don't have to take the whole time, but we can take up to an hour and a half to go through only about 6 or 8 polls here. So we may go quick and be done quick, or we may use these polls to elicit a little more conversation. These were formulated from yesterday's questions, yesterday's discussions, yesterday's open mic.
Yes.
Yeah, yes.
Sounds yes.
The poll is just for the 8 elected officials, so department heads don't manipulate the answers in favor of something you like.
No, we're gonna see if it's about 8. Yeah, we'll know.
So it's intended for the 8 of you to vote, prioritize, and point. We're gonna do a little test run first. Paul, let me turn it over to you here. Walk us through some.
All right, so we started using this last year, so this is a grand total of twice that I've done this in the past, I guess, 12 months. So, but we're, for all of us, our benefit, including mine, we're gonna actually have a test run here. So to do this, you'll need your phone and your camera specifically activated on your phone, so you can scan the QR code, it will pop up. So here is a test Slido. Or 8, I get to work. I'm on Warren's computer, so this is so. How do I minimize this? Yep, that's an QR. You can drag it away too. Okay. So. All right, so scan that, because you won't be able to see everything on this screen unless you scan the code or I scroll down. So the first one is rank the following individuals according to who should have been tapped as an assistant coach Kyle Whittingham at Michigan. Out of the following options. And I didn't manage to talk to all of you, so sorry. You can take me up on it later if you don't agree with my description. So Denise needs to see this too, so. You should be able to zoom in on your camera to the QR code from your desk. That will help too.
I between chat and these.
How many do it fit by?
Ooh,
Ooh.
What about money, huh?
money talks the truth. It don't
Bring
get,
out.
it don't sing, but money talks.
Okay, so we have 5 people so far who have done it.
Be forever between chat.
6 now.
Audio second place.
Story of my life.
Oh, he's dropped.
All right, so.
Story of my life.
All right, so it looks like Denise and NIL need the money, so
How
you're.
could there be none the way the post word? 10?
I 100% got on just to
I
vote for
did-
Denise.
Like, who's gonna
So
fess
is
up?
mine.
Who's gonna fess
And
up?
I'm not participating the rest of the time.
This one is probably okay if staff participated, but
I need you to do that a lot more on the legislature. Sneak in and get your vote. Use an ammo.
All right, so
That is misunderstood.
me still won, Corbin Taylor second. Councilman Lamb, all right, thank you. So now we're gonna get into the real stuff.
Oh, that wasn't real?
Wasn't real, unfortunately, Denise, sorry, but you probably don't.
We're already moving, David, we can't like lose the staff members.
All right, so we're gonna get into, sorry, it's hard. to hear back here.
We, are you starting, well, let me give us, yesterday when each of you talked, we were tuning into two different things. Were some of the things you were mentioning budget items? Or were some of the things you were mentioning policy items, city code related? Warren, took good notes on policy items, and we'll circle back and follow up on some of those. We tried to isolate the budget items we heard through all the conversations yesterday. We took the budget items and we split them into two groups. Were they budget items that were primarily an expenditure of one-time money, or primarily going to be an ongoing cost? And so we're gonna give you some polls on how do we prioritize the one-time budget items we heard versus the ongoing budget items that we
Do
heard.
you want to do the other questions, follow-up?
And then we'll do some of the other questions as follow-up. Is that okay? Can we do them in that order, Paul? Okay,
But let me explain really
before,
quick.
yeah, go ahead.
To new council members especially. There were some elected officials during the last few months when there was issues with the property tax increase. They were saying, well, we were going to use our property tax increase, which is ongoing money, you get it every year, not one-time money, to buy a fire truck. Fire truck is not an ongoing expense, that's a one-time purchase. So to increase property taxes to buy a fire truck is not the right reason to do that, okay? So we're talking about ongoing money is like sales tax revenue, property tax revenue, some charges for services, those kinds of things. That can help us do things that are going to happen every year and need to grow with inflation or service level increases or that kind of thing. One-time money tends to be savings from ongoing money. So in the year, if we have vacancies or we didn't end up spending the money on that service in that year, but we will need it the next year, we will dedicate whatever savings that is to one-time money. That means capital projects, that means purchasing some equipment that might not need ongoing expense, those kinds of things. So one time means you're buying it one time. You might have to maintain it moving forward, or there may be some expense and added staff. That's the ongoing piece, but the initial investment is called one time. Okay, so it's like buying a car, buying a house. It's a one-time investment that you do.
Taking your money every month.
Yeah, so it's something that you're spending every month, like your water bill.
As we get ready to do the prioritization vote too, Denise, will you put on the whiteboard the 5 pillars we have? These were over the last couple of years.
Test, is that what it is?
Well, we'll chime them out, right?
Yeah.
Resident focused.
Yep.
Resident focused. Community identity.
Employee satisfaction.
Economic development.
Aesthetics.
And for the,
Development.
just know that it's up and left, whiteboard.
Employee satisfaction.
And what else?
Economic development. Aesthetics.
Points for spelling it right.
And
Employee satisfaction.
Employee.
Yeah, employee satisfaction. Want to put these up here to think through as you do prioritization, then we'll think about, okay, do they still fit, which pillars do these fit under? And are we missing something? Maybe there's room for discussion further out. Okay, let's do the first slide. I'll pull.
Okay, so we're gonna do ongoing first, and again, just to what Corbin said, we tried to encapsulate what we heard and try to group like topics into one. So hopefully it's captured most of what you identified.
Are you going to?
Yeah, probably scan each one.
We need Jeopardy music.
You do need some Jeopardy. Let's see.
I got it.
These are the same thing.
I told you, you'd probably be frustrated at times, feeling like it's not quite articulating what I mean, or, yeah, some of them I'm saying. How many are we waiting on? Can you tell how many are voted?
Before it's done.
Oh, one is done.
Good, I did it without music.
Once you the screen.
Access screen.
I have a clarification, one minute on vacation.
We can try.
What does sustainability mean?
What do you consider?
No. So Zach mentioned sustainability efforts. Zach, what do you mean by sustainability? Like, I think your words were yesterday, right? I wanna, put some resources or put our money where our mouth is on sustainability a little bit.
Yeah, I actually saw it more as a policy thing than a budget thing, but I can try out.
A couple weeks ago, when you gave the resolution proposal, there were things like converting our lawnmowers from gas powered engines to electric engines. That was what was in my head, but I think there's more
Yeah,
to it.
no, that's part of it. It's codifying for the council role. It's codifying, and I guess it does have a budget implication too, but it's codifying that these are the things that we want. We want to take a position on. Take a stand. That's just forthright than but but yeah, it's sustainability efforts when it comes to West Jordan contributing to making things better. We're gonna have really bad air quality week starting in about 2 days. And it's gonna be bad for a week. And I wanna say, okay, we're gonna work toward reducing West Jordan's footprint, West Jordan's input on those things through lawn equipment, through taking a stand on renewable energy, all the other things that we can do, stuff that we have the power and authority to do, let's do what we can.
So for purposes of this are you willing to spend a little bit more if it's a sustainable thing versus the less expensive, but maybe less sustainable option?
It answers my question. I was kind of curious if it meant sort of specifically environmental sustainability or like budget sustainability.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Paul, how are we doing?
We've got 6 people
Sorry,
so far.
It's fine. No pressure.
We only need 4 to pass.
7.
5 if you count me.
We don't count.
It's 5 whether we got you or not.
Well, yeah.
Hang on, we're ready. Okay. All right, increasing focus on making residents proud to be in West Jordan. I heard a couple of you talk about that yesterday. Any elaboration you want to say there?
Well, increasing investment into city events, I think, would increase the focus on making residents proud to be in West Jordan.
Well, I thought something that Annette said was interesting, that people say they've moved to Salt Lake, not they've moved to West Jordan. I haven't really heard that, but that is alarming.
When people ask me where I'm from, I say Salt Lake.
Yeah, like
If you're out today.
If I'm not,
Yeah.
I don't.
I say West Jordan, and if they don't know, then I tell them it's south of Salt Lake.
Sometimes if I want to be very specific, I'll say a suburb of Salt Lake. It's called West Jordan.
I mean, I think that's totally.
Well, maybe we
reasonable.
need to change our
I just don't know the last.
Well, say West Jordan, you haven't heard that. Oh, you should. I can't believe that.
Any, okay, more road maintenance efforts. To be clear, last budget, we dramatically increased our ongoing efforts on road maintenance. But it didn't come up again. Trying to remember who mentioned it about road maintenance specifically.
Chad did.
Chad, yeah, Chad did.
Well, I felt like the increase we gave road maintenance in the last budget session was minuscule to what was actually needed.
It was a good start, but.
We wanted to make
Maybe
sure
not
we
even a
could
good
get the
start,
work
but
done
it's
first.
pointing the right way. You're saying
It
keep
was-
going.
It was when Brian brought that young lady, I don't think she even works for it. She quit.
Yeah, she's moved on.
She was great.
I
But
couldn't get enough money.
she came and, yeah, she came and gave the presentation and made me feel like no matter what we do, it's not gonna be enough.
And she was.
But
right.
it was a valid point.
But you can say that about everything in the city.
Can you
There's
define
not
what you
enough-
mean by a big increase? It's like. Percentage more.
That's a good question. Denise,
Yeah.
I can't off the top of my head, but Denise and Brian might be able to.
What?
What did we do for investment in road maintenance from the prior year to the current budget? What was the change?
Doubled it, 4 to 8.
100% increase.
From the 2024 budget to 2025.
So we were previously using the majority, not like 100%, but pretty close, 90% of the budget for road maintenance was Class C road funds, which was exclusively what the state was giving us out of the gas tax. And that was about $4.5 million a year. And then we doubled it to 8.
So was 4 million still from Class C and then another 4 million for something else?
Yes, so we dedicated about $4 million a year. And we have a
Okay.
long-term plan to sustain.
But I mean, we also did aesthetics, more money aesthetics. We give more money to.
Yeah, we
City
said,
events.
Oh,
yeah,
for sure.
for
So
sure.
we've done all those.
And again, I want to emphasize, right? We're not saying no to any of these. No matter where it lands on this list, we're not saying no, we're just trying to get a sense from you as a body. Where to focus, where to prioritize, yeah. We have done a lot with aesthetics. Neighborhood improvement officer, good landlord program officer. You can make an argument, I think someone did yesterday, that our asphalt maintenance is an aesthetic thing. We're working on our arterial, the way our arterials look. That's gonna be an ongoing, yeah. Gonna be an ongoing, long-term push on aesthetics, and it's gonna take every department to help. Limiting tax increases, I liked Kayleen's words, you didn't say no tax increases, you said limit them. Thought that was a very pragmatic way of phrasing that. Any other comments, any other discussion?
Regarding tax increases, incremental, I think is the word that Denise has used. And it's something we can't lose sight of as a council. That if we freeze tax increases out, then it's gonna put us behind. the
We have to
eight
hit
ball.
them harder later.
Well, the issue with Salt Lake County and the reason that there's gonna be so many bills that are being presented on property tax is the 20% increase that Salt Lake County just did, right?
That was 20. Twilly County did what, 90?
Right, exactly. So some of the counties tend to put off their property tax increases until they become double digits. As soon as they become double digits, they become
Magnets.
magnets for criticism, but more than that, it looks like you're asking for more than you need, but what it was those small incremental changes.
There's a bill this year to limit it to 5%.
There's a bill out there that says no more than 5%, or you would have to go to voter approval.
Yeah.
Which would
I
never.
wonder what the voters will say.
I will tell you, my peers in city management are envious of West Jordan and the commitment of our elected officials to do very small but regular and consistent. I mean, they feel like we're one of the best managed cities in the state as a result of that adjustment. Alan and Adam.
I was just gonna add the Tooele one that was just mentioned. One of my former chamber execs was the mayor of Tooele, and they proposed 138% tax increase. which is huge. They eventually passed it at 80 or something like that, but and she got reelected, by the way. The last tax increase they had done was 39 years prior.
Wow.
If you divide those two numbers, you get 2.91%. So had they done a 2.91% increase every year,
They'd be ahead of the game.
they'd be ahead because you'd have the compounding of it.
Yep.
Right.
But it shows, the reason I mention that is it illustrates very clearly that you need to have inflation, you need to adopt for inflation.
Same with Salt Lake County, they hadn't done it for 6 years. They pretty much the same.
A lot of these cities are approaching their legislator or the legislature and asking that they should be able to index their budgets and new growth with inflation, and are being told, no way will we ever do that for you. And so they're like coming back to the drawing board, have no clue how to handle it with their cities. So Corbin is 100%
If they
right.
would do that, you would never have
Then
to have truth.
You'd never have to do truth and taxation. So what West Jordan is doing is very popular. Every city wants it, and they're trying to get the legislature to mandate it.
I think our residents are great too.
I think so too.
Well.
Some more than I felt it was. But I think I give you kudos to you as elected officials, because it takes some political courage. It's not.
That's why people wait
It's
17
easy to
years.
kick it off to the next term, the next group of elected officials. Let's go on to the, any other comments on this Slido? Let's go on to the next poll. Now we've done ongoing. This helps us a lot. Thank you. Now we heard a lot of good comments about one-time requests. Let's prioritize those ones.
There'll be other questions about these. If we just prioritize.
Yeah, we're gonna ask a few more. We're gonna ask a few more follow-up questions, because we had questions. Yeah. That's the comment about, we've been aiming towards, vacating it. But if we keep it, we need to go back and rehabilitate it, maybe add parking, get rid of some of the existing parking.
That's still feels like a lot of unknowns.
There are a ton of unknowns on this.
The museum refers to.
The
in-
museum.
In like, right by a veteran.
Yeah, good question. That probably needs a little bit of background. The West Jordan Historical Society runs a museum. The city owns the land. The museum, which is a separate nonprofit, owns the building and owns the collection. We give the museum, the nonprofit, a small grant of $5,000 or $6,000 a year, which keeps the lights on to, literally keep the lights on. They used to pay their utilities. They operate by volunteers.
I don't think anybody thinks it's salary for that, right?
Right. Yeah, that's correct.
We ever had a total number of visitors per year? And I don't mean the pumpkin walk, I mean.
Well, so I get a report from them about total number of visitors, but it's inclusive of the pumpkin walk and their events. That parade, like visitors to the museum.
I mean, we don't need number from the crowd.
Cause we can put on pumpkin walk without a museum.
I could probably isolate it when the usually give them, but what I get is aggregates all there.
No, there's what we need to, the museum's gotta be a separate long time.
It's been so.
Another separate long block.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that's definitive action.
Yeah, I agree. And not just when it's a redo of these or sign up on the budget.
Put it on a workshop.
So we better, Alan, do we have one more? The ones that have that- No, does anyone else want to have Alan put the museum on a work meeting?
It's coming as soon as.
I have a request on that. Yeah, sorry. hate this because I'm confessing on how slow I am with some aspects of my job. The last time we talked about the museum, my takeaway was getting the committee together. I think Bob and Kayleen are on that from the council, Robbie, a couple staff members, we're gonna make the exhibit to go on the new museum contract. That outlines their reporting requirements, so, yeah, that's on my to-do list, we haven't.
Okay, that's part of it, but I think what Bob's indicating is a deeper.
Yeah.
Discussion.
I'm just wondering if you want to accomplish that step first, yeah.
Depends on when you get it on your.
I know. How we doing, Paul?
That's
it?
They're up.
Sorry. I
You lose a
did not
subset of
be able
one.
to show up days.
Read it out to a subset of one.
Yeah, a cookies.
I guess that's why
That could be down in the west.
Okay, very good. Yeah, number one, downtown city center, number two, rodeo arena. Number three, make it a West Jordan destination, right? You could argue number three is a subset of one as well, possibly.
No, but the downtown area could be in one place and unique shops and something.
Yeah, they don't have to be.
Right.
together.
Let's broaden this.
Transportation improvements, I want to talk about that one for a second. Well, I don't know if you were thinking this way. When we put this, we were thinking road maintenance is the maintenance, just the maintenance of the asphalt itself. And transportation improvements was all the things that Kent was talking about yesterday with roundabouts, road safety, dedicated bike lanes, limiting left turns, all those kinds of things.
Like increase public transportation.
We didn't hear that yesterday, because we didn't put it on the list, but you can make a case for it right now if you want. We don't do public transit, UTA does that. We lobby UTA for public transit services in our community, but we don't provide any of those services.
I want to advocate for the east side of the city for a splash pad out of the hills that are up there. The east side residents really want a splash pad in Veterans Memorial, and I really think we should prioritize that higher.
I guarantee that thing would be packed every day in the summer.
Well, it's interesting though, because like things like the splash pad or the public art is pennies on the dollar compared to developing downtown.
Yeah.
Developing downtown, we're talking hundreds of millions of dollars over several years. And splash pad Veterans Memorial, we're talking several hundred thousand at one time.
I just want to bring
few
it up,
million.
that's
Yeah, no, I
what the
agree.
public really wants, so it makes me kind of sad that it's number
I
5.
think it's because it's apples.
I don't think that means that it's undoable, it's just
Again,
means that.
And that's
There's
a one-time
no-
money thing, too. We don't do the tax increase for them.
And we're not saying no to any of these.
Right.
Yep.
I know.
Yes, and.
Yes, and.
Yes,
I think where it came up there, that, yeah, that's a definite need, but you're looking at for the big picture, these things up here. No, but I agree. I would love to see the splash pad there.
There's a lot of kids on these. Always think they're all.
Kids everywhere.
Jessica, your thoughts? I haven't heard you speak up on this. What are your, some of your impressions when you see this list?
So it's pretty consistent with how I prioritized. Yeah, because I like with the soccer, because it's so up in the air. Like what?
Yeah, I don't think any of us really.
Yeah,
want to-
This was certain, it would be good to reprioritize if we had some certainty around what that meant.
100%.
Yep. Okay, good.
Gathering place according to.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah.
The uncertainty was at the bottom. We don't know what our options are.
Yeah.
Put a container park there.
the development of.
There you go.
Yeah, I also like how we talked yesterday about the arena, having more than just the rodeo there. That's.
We've got more questions though that can start.
Was there something like develop, sorry, I'm not sure who's in charge, can you scroll up? So I can see
Go
number
up.
one again? Sorry, thanks, Paul, yeah. Something like develop the downtown/city center, what does that actually mean for the budget in 2026?
We don't-
What would that,
Yeah.
It
we
would
don't
mean
know,
that you're
but
committing some invested funds.
okay.
Right now,
So
like-
and start the process would be, I mean, very.
It could be property
Different
acquisition,
plan.
it could be, I lobbyists of going across the street, negotiating with the school district
Okay.
or the parking lot. It could be, like, there's all kinds of start, like, we're ready to start in this.
Okay.
Maybe
Yeah.
we should find a parking lot. They
We
need that.
we don't know exactly what, like Zach was saying yesterday, we wanna get the ball rolling, get some traction on something. We need to explore what that means.
Want to see a shovel.
Well, what we can look at is the model that West Valley did. They didn't build their station area in one night. It was this, then this, then this.
And redevelopment is really hard, and it is a long-term process, and it's long-term commitment, and it gets exponentially exponentially harder, the more property owners you have. And, fortunately, we have one big property owner, school district, and then outside of that, though, there's a lot of smaller property holders.
Yeah, but that might
David,
be
any
a
thoughts from you on that?
Yeah.
It's huge.
So we,
Yeah.
we could hire someone to help us start putting together some budget, just for looking at the property tax values on. And, cause a lot of it, sorry, not even tax, right? So we're looking at that, and then we have had discussions with the school district. We need to collect a lot more data on it. And then we've met with the developer who's actually put together a pro forma. They want to see it developed and what the gap is.
With the fact that it's not, like the school district property is not taxed right now. Would that create huge tax increment financing?
Yeah, and so that's what we've done with developers to go through and say, turn it into private property. What would be the future tax?
Taxable value of it currently and.
Is the base year is so low.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're already.
Started at zero. If it brings in $100 in property tax, we should change from zero to.
That's a big
farmland,
percentage.
20 zone or whatever, you know, I mean, there's an increment there, let
Yeah.
alone going to PO or an R3 or a planned community or whatever.
But the problem would be is if you dedicate that tax increment and it's all residential, you have no other subsidization to that.
Right. Well, I don't think anybody wants it to be all residential.
Not.
It'll be, it's gonna be a. Look at this number, right? There's gonna be a lot of effort, but there's a lot of support to do something. It's gonna be a focus of ours over the next year. Okay. Any comments, any discussion, any questions, any arguments you wanna make about any of the other items?
I have a question just about past, yes, city council meetings or meetings. Have residents asked about that area a lot, about the development of it?
Live around there, do.
Yeah,
those
I
that Live
think-
in that area, do.
I think in all honesty, the problem is, it's been there so long.
Yeah.
That people now just ignore it as they go by. They don't realize what it could be. They went,
I think.
Well, if it's a school district, if it
Yeah.
were something else, if it were just a bunch of
yeah.
a body or something, then the. More avoidable, but it's the school district.
So they kind of go, I guess that's what it is.
But they only occupy that one. Or is it a whole?
No, I want that comment, because we often focus on that one thing, thinking that's the whole project, and you're right, Dan. The school district owns what, 40 acres, 20 acres?
Somewhere like
20 acres out of what I see as a
Yeah, 600.
600 acre. state. But the school district is the relatively easy business, because it's one owner, like was mentioned, and it's a government entity who we can work with, who we're speaking the same language to, and by the way, who benefits from if we increase property tax values, they get a windfall.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
Okay,
They
I wanna
do
ask,
occupy more than just their buildings. So you.
can I ask a follow-up question on that? Zach, because you made the argument yesterday, you've made the argument in the past, I think it's a good one, that we gotta broaden our definition, our scope, our thinking about what city center and our downtown is, to go all the way from the civic center campus to the river. The whole area between 78th and 82nd. From campus or the park or inclusive of the campus, all the way to the river.
That's what our plan is.
Yeah. We think about city center often, and David's efforts, I think, correct me, we've been focused on Redwood Road, 80th South, the school district property, and that that western track station. Right. In some ways, that's an easy place to start, and in some ways, that's a hard place to start. Should we think about starting, or how would you feel if we focused or tried to start somewhere else in that big area, maybe closer to Gardner Village, and the cemetery and the river?
Well, we look at the Redwood Road because of the access. That's what I look at.
We're doing ghost tours there.
That's the biggest access is the Redwood Road. That's why. we
Yeah.
look at that so much.
And that's where the economic private portion, really, the rest of it's more residential as we get closer to that river.
Probably, yeah, probably, right, the combination of transportation infrastructure of tracks, Redwood Road and 78 South is a really good density of transportation infrastructure. And that makes sense that that area will probably be a little more commercial. As you move away from that, but stay within walking distance of tracks, it probably will be a little more residential. But maybe, yeah, mixed. Maybe that's a place to start. Maybe the commercial would come a little bit easier if we get some of the residential, we get the rooftops there, yeah. I don't know, I'm telling you my own weaknesses. I think a lot about city center and I tend to think about just across the street. Maybe I should.
Yeah, well, we're not.
Well, yeah, it's gotta start somewhere. And I'm happy with it starting anywhere. I'm happy with it starting.
Well, and if we bleed down from Gardner Village, we're doing the other thing that Staley was talking about, we're increasing the visibility of Gardner Village, which is a main part of it. So, you know, that's right, and that's not a bad thing, that maybe it starts to bleed down a little bit as we start to still, instead of trying to wait till we decide how to solve this problem, we work some of these down while we're working on solving. Right.
Your call would be what your renewal.
David, any other thoughts?
Every developer I've talked to, their first question is, what kind of tip is available? Because they need to know that in order to start putting our performance together. Because if we're not gonna provide any kind of financial support for it, then you know, it's just a regular project. So we would need to either do an HTRZ, which the county and the school district do not like, because they don't get a say in it. Or we do a typical redevelopment area. And both the district and the county have said that they are willing to look at it and consider it. And so, because what we have to do is tell the developer, if you want, every developer says, if you want to use 5-minute parking garage, so we start looking at shared parking. So really what we need to do is, in some ways, define the area for TIF purposes, and then put together the budget and what we want to see in there. So we can start really drilling down on what do we want that to be. We could do the larger area as the whole project area. In some ways, that really makes sense, because then you capture all that increment as you go forward. And then we decide, hey, with the first tranche, what do we want to focus on? We focus on just across from City Hall, mainly because you've got UTA, who's a willing partner, and the district are both willing partners.
And the city owns land there too.
Yeah, the city owns land. It would be easier to start there because you have willing partners. And all those other property owners, every once in a while I get a call saying, hey, I hear you're taking my land, or I hear you're gonna buy my land. And as soon as you do that, values, go up. So I think we need to strategize about the phasing, but in different ways.
Did you separate the tracks area into an HTRZ and then do the rest of CRA?
Yeah, I mean, those are both viable options.
Not that I have no, you said HTRZ and the school district and the county don't like it, they don't get to say. Let's give them the say. Let's go. I'm perfectly happy going to my friends on the school board and saying, what do you think of this? Will you pass the resolution on board of this? It's not binding, it's not official, but we'd like your buy-in. They go to the county council and say the same thing.
Yeah, and I think what they're saying is, we don't want you to do a HTRZ on your own without us being partners. If you want to partner, then let's do a CRA for the whole thing so that it's a joint effort.
But I mean, if we determine that HCRT is the better tool for whatever reason, and I don't know enough about that tool to tell you one way or the other. But if you decide that's better, we can still invite them to voice their opinion. I know when we were looking at the Facebook data center, many years ago, and the school district was having their school district. I went to the school board meeting as a council member and said, please go there. You know, I don't have any say there.
And we did.
They did. The other school board didn't. County didn't.
And I think to go back to your point about how do you, I think the next steps are put together the budget. And if we want to do the whole area, then we can put together that. And what we need to start doing, we talked about hiring some consultants to help look at the infrastructure and make sure there's adequate utilities there. What are the acquisition costs? What's the TIF that's generated on that? So we've started some of those things, but I think we really just need to probably focus on what's the first piece that we want to do so that we can prioritize that.
So do you have a ballpark? The costs to get those consultants and stuff you get?
You put a consultant, they deplete the budget for the other consultants. They're gonna do a study on how much studies should cost. And we're trying to figure out how much that study's gonna cost for other consultants.
Answering that question is some of what we're gonna work on over the next couple months as part of the budgeting process.
It'd be helpful would be to get updates on it.
For me, it makes
Yeah.
more sense to do a comprehensive and not just focus on the school district if we staff and effort into it. I think that should be strengthened because otherwise, then we do this little portion and maybe that gets done in 8 years, but then in 2 years or 4 years or 6 years, we have different people and they're like, nah, I don't want to do that. And then it fits.
We want to make sure what we're doing and what we really invest some taxpayer resources in acts as a catalyst to create redevelopment that doesn't require taxpayer resources. David made a good point about like making sure our utilities can handle it. Among hundred other things.
I
Okay.
think we need that.
Corbin? Just real quick for the benefit of the Jordan Landing started with a movie theater and turned into what it is. One station started with a hotel. And so you've got the anchor, a piece to get it started, but they ended up the entire area.
Let's go to the next poll. All right, thank you. This helps us. This was a good prioritization exercise. It's not in his head. It's gonna really put us to work on the budget, but it's framing as department heads what we're putting forward in the budget process. These next questions are one-offs, and you're gonna hate a couple of them. But it's intended to just give us a little bit more color to some of the previous conversations. I told you.
Think about a museum, think about an art center, they're never gonna pay for this, for the investment.
Yeah, I disagree.
Park doesn't pay for itself.
Right,
So
right.
this isn't intended to be a
The reason
debate.
government exists are things that don't.
I think we should charge admission dollars.
This isn't intended to be a debate on whether it could or couldn't pay for itself. It's if it did, would you still be supportive?
But only for people who show up.
All right, is that everyone?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, great.
But I'd
That's a
say over
clear
time,
answer.
it would pay.
Okay, go to the, let's go to the next question. Any further discussion on that one first?
Yeehaw.
That felt, yeah, that felt pretty clear direction. You want to improve the rodeo arena. Even if it means some taxpayer subsidy
just
to
did say
improve it, you're not looking at it
That's
as
the
a
thing
money.
that,
No, that's.
oh, yes.
Oh, yeah, notice the word event. This is different. The other one was about the facility. This is about the events that go on in the facility. Because if we improve the facility, it's kind of with the intention that there will be more events there. But are you willing to use taxpayer dollars to put on those events or to subsidize those events? That's the difference. That's the nuance.
Yeah, but see, I'd be differently in terms of your events. I
Yeah, but
look
we
at
have to be an independent-
events that are going to pay for it.
Yeah.
But
There definitely needs to be an independent option.
We intentionally didn't give you that because I know everyone would put that.
What else will that event accomplish if it doesn't bring in money? Could it be accomplishing something else that's worth putting money into it, not getting return on it?
see, and that's why I talk about pay for themselves. Sometimes things pay for themselves in other ways than money.
Does our
And I guess that's what we're asking, right? Do you view the return on investment to the community as not necessarily being money, right? We heard a lot of conversation from you about being a destination, creating a sense of identity, a
Does
sense
the
of
fireworks show
community,
ever pay
bringing
for it?
people in.
Yeah.
And those are all super valid reasons to use taxpayer dollars. What we're trying to say is putting on events in a rodeo arena, if it means we're subsidizing the event happening, it's okay, because the return isn't dollars, the return is identity, sense of community, destination, all these other things. And it looks like 3/4 of them say yes.
Well, and again, those things do pay off in the long run. We build that sense of identity, we build those things, we attract investment in the community, which then pays off in the long term. And it's like marketing expense. Now, I've been in marketing forever. You spend money on advertising, you don't necessarily see all the revenue they can attribute it back to, yes, I bought this Coca-Cola because there's an ad on the back of a magazine. Right? You put the money in somewhere, it may come out somewhere else. If it doesn't come out in the same place, doesn't mean it's coming out. It means it's benefiting in other ways that will produce revenue on their own later.
Corey.
So I was just chiming in from the facilities and event side, because I love everybody voted to increase your facility itself. But in my opinion, from this perspective, if you're gonna invest and increase the facility, they go together. You're gonna wanna increase the events. Why build a huge, nice facility if you're gonna decrease the events?
We kind of have been having the assumption, I don't think it's been stated overtly, but I think all of us have been having the assumption. If we invest in the rodeo arena, it's with the intent of having more events at the rodeo. But those two things probably, the two investments probably need to go together. You invest more in the rodeo arena and you invest in putting on the event. Let's do the next one. Okay, this was not one you brought up, but this is one that we as staff brought up. Do you wanna, we saw some head nodding.
I know, I need to.
We saw some head nodding, but I want to just get some clarity because we didn't take a vote. Do you support the idea of starting in 2027 again, not this summer, but in 2027, splitting out city days from Western Stampede, doing an event out at Ronwood Park, probably anchoring it with the carnival and having the carnival not be at the rodeo and the vets, but moving it out to Ronwood, doing some other things with that.
It was a strange thing in driving the golf cart a lot during the rodeo and helping out people. Many of them didn't even know there was a on the other side of the riding track.
Corey, I think that's partly why Corey pitched this idea first, is because we as a city think of it as one big event, but the attendees, it's kind of two separate
Here for the
things.
rodeo. Oh,
They
yeah.
don't
Carnival
cross
over there?
pollinate.
We strategically followed on our golf carts, a lot of them after that, they looked like they're going, but they were walking to their cars.
Yeah,
There wasn't a whole lot.
there was people who had no idea.
Yeah, as much as I love having the carnival with veterans, it's not visible. The trees are too big, it's too far off the street, it's not. When you have it at like I know Orem and their park on Center and you're gonna miss it, man. You're within 3 blocks and you know. Ours, you could be on the other side of the library, not know what that's hard to see.
So I wanted to just say 2 things about this one, thinking about putting a location at the Ronwood Park, and that's noise and people parking on the street in my neighborhood. I just want to put that out, because that's gonna be.
What do you mean by noise chat?
So imagine where you live and someone put a carnival right next to your house.
Like it's too up for the rest.
3 days of a loud carnival noise, you can hear those rides, people, music. And then the road right behind the.
People would definitely know there
People
was
are
a
gonna
carnival.
park along that road and you'll definitely get called. Mayor,
Well,
during this
by
event, I can't get it out of my neighborhood because people.
We get them with the road.
27, there'll be one more apartment.
Yeah.
It can shift themselves.
Well,
What did you say again?
it is,
By 2027.
Oh,
there'll be a lot.
Put out there.
Really good ones.
Those are.
The noise.
We
is-
talked about those concerns as well, and I don't know that we have a really good answer. I know that Corey, in thinking about it, what we're looking for is a signal, should we start thinking about the plan, the site plan, things like that, because we may get into the site planning for that kind of event and realize, hey, this only works if the roller coasters on those soccer fields right against the house. And that's a deal killer. See, if it works and the roller coaster, the Ferris wheels can be pushed away from the homes. Yeah, by, by the water tanks or on, Ronwood Park Drive or something like that. And there's some distance, maybe it works, but it's a really valid concern.
Yeah, well, I'm okay if we separate them and it even stays, both of them stay in Bedford Park.
Do them at different times.
It's just a different time, I think it
What
just,
about the opposite? Because we're wanting to bring the west side more into it. What if it's still during West?
I agree with you. I think
You just have the carnival at Ron Wood for all the benefits there, so the west side feels more involved, sorry, Mayor. And then you keep everything else.
oh, that, I think, separate our event staff too.
That is a challenge,
Those logistics are.
doing, two events at the same time.
But I do agree, being on the west side is a good thing, because people out there, it's like, well, I want to put over there. I want it to be closer to me, and the area is growing out there. So as we start this, maybe start small, it can grow bigger as the population grows on the west side.
Start with a bounce house.
And you'll get both sides of that problem, like we get both sides of every side. Right, there will be people out there that say, why can't I ever have events out here? And then their neighbor says, don't you dare put events out here, they're too noisy.
Are there not, are there not noise complaints and parking complaints where it is now?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, there's no noise complaints with our park.
Yes,
It's just a matter of, it's
Those
just,
people on 2200.
if you put one event, in
What
two
noise
events, you have
complaints?
twice as much parking problem.
Yeah.
Right? It's the same number, whether they're on the west side or whether they're on the east side, you're saying.
Well, and it's 3 days out of the year.
Part of it,
I'm supposed to Stampede, I hear it every night, and I'm just like, okay, it's happening.
So I worked at Colin High School, Butlerville days. You've been there. It is right next to home in their park, 10,000 people. We were 100 feet from residences' property lines. We never had issues, but what we did do is we worked with the residents. Every resident that was neighboring next to the carnival would get vouchers for free carnival tickets, would get different things. And it was actually, they enjoyed it. They could see this stuff and it became kind of almost like their tradition type thing. So we turned it into a positive.
So how are you making it driveway?
So we do have this there. We've also got more space at Run. So we're looking at lots of options.
Some of this thinking came from, in the last 2 years, we've done kind of 3 much smaller events out at Ronwood. We did the initial Wheels Park opening. We did the block party on the bridge. We did the bike park opening. Those were so fun. There was a band out there playing. There was music. The people coming out were different because it was out on the west side. And so we love how Ronwood Park is coming together, and it's been such an amazing community.
This idea of a separate city days was catalyzed by you all and staff in the Parks Department.
It was Corey's team brainstorming. Okay, let's go to the next question. This is a good question. As we started talking about this and we were hearing about, we had a little internal debate of what you meant. And we thought we better ask you, because we kept hearing about events, more events, sense of community, sense of identity, and we were debating, does that mean more events or does that mean fewer events but bigger events? I can't mark both.
I can't mark either.
What do I want? A more bigger event.
Whichever one you pick, we're not saying no, to the other one. We're just looking for kind of some, you know, if you had your druthers or if you had to pick one, which direction do you prefer? And you can argue, hey, I want both. I want smaller events and bigger events. That
More bigger.
What's in the category of small? Is that like a
Yes,
first?
small and tall ball, crafts and cravings, Veterans Day, Memorial Day, we do a lot of events. We saw 105 different event days, and some of those are very staff intensive, but not giant attendance. And attendance isn't the focus of certain events, like Veterans Day and Memorial Day. We're kind of asking, should we keep on that path, or are you saying, no, we want bigger attendance, we want events that are gonna draw the outside community? That's probably a different line of thinking.
This will really help you.
Perfect. Perfect.
Exactly the right answer, people. Well done.
Sorry. That is yes to both. All right. Any other comments on this one?
Well, I think if we can find more events, but I don't have to think that we necessarily have to do these smaller kind of things, but I do think that we can just look at what our events are gonna draw people and get that going. I think we work. One thing I forgot to talk about, Corey sent me a thing because I had mentioned world record in Easter egg hunt. He sent me a thing that the world record in Easter egg hunt is like 501,000 Easter eggs. We usually do a little over 22,000, which is a ton. But if we wanted to look at $64,000 would get us that many more eggs and put us on a anyway, but it gave you an idea that it's interesting to think that we do 22,000 eggs. Anyway.
Are
I
there,
would hate to see us get away from a veteran memorial. I think that some of those, even though they draw very few people, are still valuable to the community and send a message.
they're about creating community isn't always about people and crowds and entertainment. It's about
Memorial Day
honor.
with the car show is important.
What's that?
Memorial Day with the car show is important.
My first year, and I think the year before I got elected, so 2014, 15, 16, right? Our Memorial Day event, where it is now, there were chairs all the way down the sidewalks in the parking lot. And it was full and it was standing room only. I don't know what happened.
But we did breakfast.
No, this wasn't the afternoon. Me and Love was there. I have a picture of it.
There's the answer right there.
Died.
I know.
Be hard to remember.
That's what I'm saying.
But I mean, since then we had Ben McAdams come. Maybe that is the answer right there. I don't know the answer to the question. Ben's my. But we had probably 500 people there at Memorial Day without a car show.
Are there any events you feel like, I don't know why I changed either, Zach, sorry.
So when you see fewer smaller and you identify Memorial Day as smaller, it doesn't have to be small.
Yeah, and that's where I was in that same boat.
I heard some of you mention, and I think this is a really good consideration, right? Are there things we should stop doing? Are there events we should stop doing, in your opinions?
I have to see what we're spending on them and the attendance.
I'm gonna say 105 events.
And I need to know, are they mostly family members of those doing the events that are there, or are they?
Good questions.
Not 105 events, 105 event days. So like event, the Western Stampede, there's technically 3 or 4 days of that. So some events should be multiple days.
And a lot of our events,
So they're, yeah, they're.
I'll tell you, I'm really proud of our events division because they really work hard on finding ways to co-sponsor, to partner. Like all the first Friday, we get a ton of traction. We get about 400 people coming every time. We don't actually spend very much money on that and have very little staff time because it's partnered with excellence in the community and the library and the county, and it's an event, a monthly concert in our community that, that we're not solely responsible for. So I know that's an unfair question. to ask.
I think we can look at things. I'll give an idea of, of what I did in Midvale. We had this, the free concerts on Friday nights, these concerts in the park. And the budget for it was like at one point $40,000 to put on 9 concerts. And the person who was in charge of that left and they put me in charge. And I said, well, let's do this different. Instead of bringing in the hottest band in Colorado Springs to Utah that has no following, why don't we just get the Utah bands that have the best following, call it the Best of Utah, and do it that? And then I told all the bands, we'll give you $500 to come play. And they said no. I just went to the next band and said, it'll give you $500 to come play. And we ended up doing 9 bands. My budget ended up being, and some of them did it for free. My budget was now $5,000. And we went from a team of 8 people that control all of this and having to get hotel rooms and all of this stuff to I became the only person who would come to the event as a staff and make sure that it got put together. But it was the same big event as far as the city was concerned. So it's a matter of just looking at things. How can we do things? The answer is we want 400 people to come to something, not we have to have this to bring 400 people. It's a matter of looking at things. What do we do? What can bring those amounts and look at things like that. So I think we can do a lot of events and make them big events, but just looking at how do we do it and still work smarter, not harder kind of things.
I was just gonna comment, the question was difficult for me to answer because I actually don't know exactly right. If 2026 had the same number and types of events, 5, I think we've got it.
Good comment. Thank you. Corey, did you hear that?
Sorry, we're talking temperature in the room.
Mayor, bring a jacket.
We're almost done. I know it got cold all of a sudden with the doors open. We're almost done. This is the last question or second to last? All right, 2 more questions. You're gonna hate it. I know you're gonna hate me for asking it.
No.
It's a yes, no, either or, and you're all gonna wanna say it depends. But if you could only spend $10 million one way or the other, which would you do? The rodeo improvement or the downtown investments? Again, it's not a, it's.
You're gonna hate it when it comes 50-50
I know.
again.
Is this, for 1 year? Is there a time limit on this?
Yeah, 1 year, for 1 year.
One time.
Let's say we're committed, we're gonna take capital improvement project money, one time, $10 million to get one of these 2 things off the ground. But you can only pick one of the 2. You can't split it 50-50. Which do you pick?
$1 billion. I'd buy.
You notice the heading that I put up there, Councilmember Jacobs?
All right.
You had 10 million. and you
Now, the other one says
Oh,
if I
had $1 million.
had $1 million.
Or 10.
The suspense?
Here we go.
Okay.
For me, my thought on that is
Game on.
downtown investments, building that would eventually, if you could only do one, downtown investments would eventually give you the money to do rodeo investments. Building the rodeo may not give you the money to help you with downtown.
I thought the exact same thing, like success of downtown will beget success within the rodeo. Just because of its proximity, if nothing else.
And I don't think $10 million does much for.
Well, either, but that was just the question.
They're both in the station area plan.
Yeah, well, and I chose rodeo thinking that 10 million would go further on
Yep.
something that already has a lot of impact in West Jordan.
See,
Maybe-
I think it would be better if you
10
decided.
million, 10 million would
No,
go
I
further
think
with
that
the rodeo.
If you put the question that
Yeah.
way, I get it. When I saw that if you have 1 million or 10 million, I started thinking, oh, if you're dreaming and you just have a lot of money, where do you want to see it put?
Yeah.
And that's the way I.
10 million is a lot of property. I mean, that's a pretty good heavy lift.
Yeah.
And I agreed with Bob. That is how my vote went.
Because downtown investment creates opportunity for rodeo.
Yeah.
Brings in revenue.
Downtown investments will have an ROI, a rodeo investment will have less of a immediate ROI. But again, like I said before, they will both have ROIs.
Yes.
But it may not be
The same
immediately
thing.
attributable.
Any other thoughts? Jessica, any?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I voted for the downtown investments for the same reason, but also I thought if residents start to see that we're making efforts to improve that, and I know even though the Stampede is a huge part of, West Jordan, and I just feel like that it would be, the ROI would be faster and it would actually seep down to the rodeo, so that's why I voted that way.
It's a tough one because all of us want both.
Yeah, yeah. Should we just have
Okay.
$20 million?
There you go.
Last question. So, this is an interesting one. I threw this one out there. I don't quite know what this means, and you're gonna wonder the same thing, but let me give you a scenario.
You're asking a question you don't know.
Yeah. Yesterday, David Dobbins showed the master plan for the airport and the airport's efforts. And there's a lot of room for reinvestment, redevelopment on the east side of the airport. We really want to see that happen. We think that's prime commercial space. We think it's great. The airport proper isn't us. But the economic development around the airport is. Should we start doing something to try to be a catalyst to the economic development around the airport?
Isn't that
For
where
example, to the west of Jordan Landing, between Jordan Landing and the runway,
Yes,
there's like,
I didn't mean to interrupt.
yeah, but yes.
But like, we're already doing.
Kind of, but for example, what we're talking about is all the raw ground. When you get out there, you'll be amazed at the amount of raw ground between like the hotels and Canyon View Credit Union and the fire station and the runway. That's the land that the airport has said, we're okay with this area developing.
It's over 100 acres.
Do we as a city need to do something to start incentivizing and encouraging that development in that area? Maybe it's utility upgrades. Maybe it's an initial investment in the road so that the land on either side of the road can develop.
I hear there's a soccer field up for grabs.
I wish it's been frustrating that we can't get better community return in the soccer complex land.
But you could put soccer fields, they're not in the roadway protection zone. If you put them on the east side of the airport.
You could.
You could, but the airport requires it to be aviation related.
Only
They call them Navigator Point soccer field.
Yeah, you're right, they're right. There's two zones. If you noticed in David's presentation yesterday, there was the eastern zone, which could be open commercial, the western zone, which really bumps up against the runway, which needs to be aviation related, but aviation related commercial development, aviation related economic development. Is that right, David? So should we start kicking in should we look for
Flying conference center.
That's right.
any comments on this one? Questions, further discussion?
MP.
Airplanes
MP.
dealership? Airplanes dealership.
Take for a test.
That would be interesting, right? The first air taxi dealership.
Oh, I like that.
Gonna be those, Adam's favorite technology,
Yeah, the air mobility, the,
carry people.
yeah, the vertical
I mean,
takeoff.
electric helicopters, that's what I call them. They already have vertical takeoff aircraft.
Okay, now that we went through these exercises, are there things we didn't talk about? Are there things left unresolved? Besides the event, more bigger events?
Was that the last question?
That's the last question we have. Okay. I'm taken by your silence, no, chief.
There's a couple of things unresolved in my mind. When I look at this list, I can interpret what law enforcement role is in these, but I don't have a real clear direction on things that are important to the council or your police department to be engaging with this, and more also important to your constituents. So this is a question I don't know if you have an answer for right now, but as you guys think about your priorities, how do you want the police department to enter? For example, I think as we grow as a city, we have to be really intentional, at least I do as a police department, on where we put our efforts. If cutting down our response times is important to you, then really the only way to do that for us is to add a lot of patrol staff. But if public outreach is something that's important to you, like it is to me, then we can carve out some specialty positions for that. If traffic enforcement is something that's more important to you, having some of those ideas from you on where you would like us to move the police department, if we don't start thinking about those now, or I assume that we're doing the things that you want us to do, then I think it will take a long time to fix those errors. Because some of those projects will take years to build on. And if I go in the wrong direction, I don't want to have to draw it back. So any input that we can have in future meetings, or if you have some now, I'm happy to hear it.
Maybe we could have a poll sent to us.
And the chief's question, this is really good. It's kind of a, most departments as well, right? So maybe there does need to be further questioning of the council. We've been trying to listen to you and then take all the individual comments and coalesce them into questions of the body. But as departments, there are a lot of questions.
And Corbin and the mayor and I are planning to do some presentations on where we're at as a police department coming in the near future, and that may be a time to talk about that. As I educate you on where we're at and where I think we can go, there's definitely some time.
Well, I will say that in the past, the police department has been a large part of these retreat conversations. And I think it's to your credit and Chief Valentine's credit that you're not.
Mostly is, yeah.
That, like, so like we're not focusing on the deficiencies in the police department.
And I want to just keep it that way, and I want to make sure that we don't become deficient in areas that are important.
If I had my, the only thing I can think of is yeah, more traffic enforcement, I think is never gonna be a bad thing. If I got a complaint related to police department more than anything else, crack down on speeding in my street. I can go to the street if you want.
Well, the hard thing about that is the people speeding on the streets are the ones who live in that neighborhood.
Yeah, what they're saying is crack down on my neighborhood, annoying teenager kid.
I think there's deep to go. We on this council, it goes when I talked about the specialized talent team. We are not law enforcement knowledgeable. That's why you're the member of our team that gives us, this is what I know this city needs. And we're going to rely on you a lot. It would be, I'm just gonna say, it would be pretty egotistical of me for you to tell me this is what we need. I go, no, what we need to do is fix this thing that I have really no idea what I'm talking about. So we rely on all the heads that we have here because of the amazing we have to really give us an insight to what we need. We can ask some questions that maybe we think we know or just have questions about and be ready for those. But I would appreciate all the department heads saying, because I'm sure all of you are thinking, knowing there's a budget I've got to go under. And this is what I need to be within this budget. But here's some things I wish I could do and want. And then we can start to look at going, you're right, that is important. What can we do to maybe are some of these other, what's the lesser important things you have? Can maybe we slide some of these around. But I just thought it became one of the most apparent things to me when I joined the council was I'm not an expert in a lot of things. And I would love to hear what, when you say outreach, to you is important. But yet Zach is saying, because we as a counselor, we don't hear much about outreach. What we hear is my neighbor is speeding on my street. You get a cop there every day to stop that. And in my mind, I'm thinking, you know what that costs? And you know what they're not doing while they're trying to get your neighbor? Why don't you just go tell your neighbor to stop speeding down your street? And I've had that conversation with people and I said, who's the neighbor? And I've gone down and go, hey, so I'm hearing you're speeding. Could we maybe tone it down? And they're like, what? I don't speed. I'm just saying, can we all take a look? And those are the things I could work on with that. I want to know, I want to hear from you in a thing. Outreach is so important to you.
and what that is going to do for our city. And kind of go, oh, well, there's an expert telling me what's going on, and I can now get the why to it, and I can buy it. I don't know if that makes sense. That's what I'd love to see from all franchises, is what is the thing that's going to, what's gonna make our city better? I've said I'm not on the council. My job on the council is not to get reelected. My job on the council is to do what's best for the city. Your job is to necessarily remain chief. Your job is to, while you're chief, make this the best department we can. And everyone tell us what is going to make this department be the best thing for the city. And that's what I want to try to help support.
And I agree with Bob though. And sometimes you can't show up on something that's highly important to me because someone's been killed, you know? But it's really important to me that my car just got broken into, but I think we can help people understand that. So I agree with Bob. I think we want you to keep focusing on things that will keep our residents feeling safe in our community. Whether that means we need to add more officers, or if that means technology, if that means outreach, how are we going to maintain and improve? Because I love it when social media works and they say, our police department's great, they help me do this, they help me do that. And I don't want us to ever go to the negative, which we see in other areas, right?
Right.
So I think what we're doing is working, but I don't know if expending the funds on community outreach. You know, I do have people that have gone to Cookies with Cop and all those little things, and they have fun. Does that translate into less crime in the future because those children have had plastic interactions? I've seen mixed data, so I don't know for sure.
Have you seen the same data with coffee with the cop? Because I know they're similar, but coffee costs more like
For adults.
Yeah, because I did. There were a few residents there. I mean, it wasn't like heavily attended, but it was a good place for like if you had a concern as a resident to actually be able to address an officer. And they were, I mean, I asked Officer Brummel a million questions and he was great. So I'm like, I imagine that he would treat a resident the same way. I think it's a great tool, but I get what you're saying.
Well, and I think everything in this city, we can get better to let the residents know, let us know. Because usually a resident gets upset because they think our city's not doing something. Sometimes the city just does not know that this is your number one concern, is your neighbor's, trailer or whatever. That is not the city's number one concern, it's your number one concern, but let us know so that we can take a look at it. If we can do a better job in making sure our residents feel, no matter what department they need to talk for, that we're all here to help, and we are, then I think we can do a better job to get that going and get that better feeling with the citizens in our different departments.
Because I think that's right. Most of the traffic complaints I hear.
I feel like we answered the chief's question.
We won't today. We'll have to come back.
And that's okay. My only hope was that if there was some goal that you had in mind that I knew about it, but like I said, we're planning to come have discussions with you. I want to let you know where we're at as a department and where we are going and make sure that you can ask the questions.
My goal is for you to create the best police department that you possibly can, and you tell us what that is. That's my.
Are there any other questions other departments might want to ask?
Yeah.
Quickly before we are done. Which is 2 minutes.
You say, any of you want to ask, make it real fast.
There's something we want to really have council think about.
Or talk to us, the same thing when I just said we need residents to reach out. I want our council to be something that we're approachable. And let us know what needs to be, because as I said, I need this city to be the best it can be. And communication and working together as a team is what's gonna make that happen.
Well, it seems like we tend to get tunnel vision when we talk about budget, and so I'm glad she brought this up because there are.
Police department's a huge part of the budget, right? Police and fire are more than half the general fund, run those two departments. Water, so big, it has its own fund, right? Public works is massive. We kind of had today in the questions with a base assumption that you're mostly happy with what we've been doing and how we're mostly providing city services. And so we're starting with the status quo and then saying, yes, and.
Yep.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay, thank you.
Will you crack down on the neighbors meeting?
Is that, we?
That's it. Lunch is here.
Okay, everyone, I
You
want.
wanna ask us if the pillars are still right? I think we could do that real quick.
Yeah.
With the two new people.
That's a good question. All
Yeah,
right.
no, I'm
We
just-
debated that a lot as well. We heard so much from you yesterday in these areas. We kind of took it as an assumption that you still like these as the pillars. But are these the right 5 pillars for the budget?
Nothing different.
Is there, employees always ends up being the single biggest budget issue, right? Compensation, healthcare, benefits. Is there something we're missing, or is there one of these you want to drop in favor of something else?
They're good. I think employees, we focused, again, this is like kind of like the police department question. Focused a lot on that in the last few years, and so there's a reason why we don't have to right now. We, police department compensation, fire department compensation, crossing guards, for the health center. These are some of the things that we've done in the last 4 or 5 years that have checked a lot of boxes in that column, which I think is why.
There will always be, every year, there will be issues we need to
Except for
address.
Scott, who's permanent.
You know.
No, I just
you know what I
wanted
mean?
to say thank you, because just, so I've got a new employee starting in a couple of weeks. And they were willing to take a pretty substantial hourly pay cut.
Wow.
To come to work for West Jordan, because they looked at the total compensation, specifically the healthcare and the other benefits that we offer that their other city did not. So it really does make a difference.
Well, there's the thing, you provide good stuff, you get good employees. I mean, that's.
We,
Well, and under Denise, you do the studies on our pay, and that's a routine email, so.
we have the best employees in Utah. We have the best municipal employees in Utah. And it's because you have been consistent in making this one of the pillars.
Yeah, I don't think, none of our employees should feel that because there's nothing under there, that's
It's like-
not important to us. It's like Zach said, it has been a focus, and it will continue to be a focus.
Well, it will continue to be as we bring you the budget, right, with changes to compensation or from the benefit plan or those kinds of things. So you might not need to put anything down there, but we'll bring you the budget, and then your job is to take it forward. And just by your approving those changes or working on those changes, really makes a difference to employees.
We put systems in place now, like the.
Absolutely.
Salary review and stuff like that, so that it's not a discussion we have to keep having. Put the system in place and it kind of.
So we don't have to entertain.
Pilots
anybody
itself.
within property.
Yep. 100%.
Not hearing anyone make a case to drop or to add or change. Okay?
Aesthetics, I feel like it kind of fits within the umbrella of community identity.
I
But-
see what you mean.
Unless aesthetics means something. I have that comment as well.
And the employees better start
But,
looking.
I know aesthetics has been kind of like a big focus of, let's improve Howard. how the city looks as you're driving down the street, entering the city. Making sure all the walls are the same color or the same material, having consistency and cleanliness through the city. But I do feel like it's within community identity. I don't know that. I could be wrong, but maybe it needs its own color.
I think that aesthetics is similar to employees, second, I think, you worked on employees for many years, now it's kind of gotten there. Aesthetics, you just kind of started hitting the last 2 years with new code enforcement officer, new neighborhood program. More money towards aesthetic improvements and public art, right? Those were huge moves of aesthetics. And I think that you're just continuing that as you expect the budget to come to you already. So I think it's similar to employees. It's something you expect funded moving forward. Continues to maybe be important.
I would say if we moved it under something, we might lose sight of it.
Yeah.
Good point. This draws attention.
And the code enforcement officers that we funded 2 years ago.
2 years in a row.
Yeah. And yeah, we don't want to lose sight of that because it's very important.
I think that these are really great for you to come back and have a return report to you from the administration, but also a return report to the residents. So as you fill out that annual report, maybe focus on, these are the pillars that we have focused on as important in our community. These are the things that we've accomplished over the last year.
Thank you for bringing it up.
I think we're about done then. So I appreciate the work of everybody. I appreciate our staff that was here to be a part of this. And hopefully we can all take away some good stuff. I look forward to seeing what the budget's gonna bring. And I look forward to this new year. So Annette, just thank you so much for being willing to join this weird circus that we have. And we've got lunches that are available, so grab a lunch on your way out. And we'll send along an email, but I would like to give away a bunch of tickets for your staff to come out to our Wasatch Improv Festival on Thursday. So thank you again for. Yeah. So yeah, I had to still.
If I,